Vanessa's fingers dug into the 7-year-old's arm like claws. She dragged the child across the marble floor toward the front door, her red nails leaving marks on dark skin. "You think crying will save you?" Vanessa yanked the door open. Rain poured down in sheets. "Get out there, now! Please, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to—" "Shut up." Vanessa shoved the child onto the cobblestone porch. Amara stumbled, fell hard on her knees, her thin nightgown soaking through instantly. "You knocked over my grandmother's crystal vase, a vase worth more than your mother's entire life. Stand there until you learn what you are." Amara's teeth chattered. What am I?" Vanessa smiled, cold, cruel. "Nothing. You're nothing. A burden your father left behind because he couldn't stand looking at you and stop touching that disgusting hair." She grabbed a fistful of Amara's braids and yanked. "Your mother is dead. No one is coming to save you. No one cares about little black girls who don't know their place." She slammed the door. Amara knelt alone in the November storm, trembling, clutching a worn teddy bear against her chest, the last thing her mother ever gave her. 5,000 miles away, her father had just opened a letter that would change everything. Before we continue, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and follow Amara's journey until the very end. Comment below with the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Now let us begin. The phone rang. Marcus Thompson ignored it. He had ignored everything for the past 16 hours, food sleep, the ache in his shoulders, the burning in his eyes. The Harrington acquisition demanded his complete attention, $300 million, the biggest deal of his career. The phone stopped, then started again. Marcus grabbed it. "What?" "Sir, it's Patricia. Something arrived from Connecticut, hand-delivered. I think you need to see it right now." "I'm in the middle of—" "It's about Amara." Marcus set down his pen. "Bring it up." Patricia entered his office 2 minutes later. She held a worn envelope like it might explode. "No stamp," she said. "No postmark, just a handwritten address from someone named Josephine Carter." Marcus took the envelope. His neighbor, the elderly black woman who had lived next door for 25 years, who had known Denise, who had held Amara the day they brought her home from the hospital. He opened it. His hands began shaking before he finished the first paragraph. "Dear Mr. Thompson, I'm writing this letter with great hesitation, but I cannot stay silent any longer. Your daughter is being severely mistreated in her own home. I have witnessed her being forced to stand on the porch for hours. I have heard shouting through the fence, words about her race, her hair, her mother's memory. Yesterday, the child collapsed in front of the gate. When I knocked on your door, your wife said this is how we correct behavior problems. Her real mother clearly didn't teach her anything useful. She smiled when she said it. Please come home before it is too late." Marcus read the letter 3 times. Then he grabbed his phone and dialed the mansion. 4 rings. Bernard answered. "Good evening, Mr. Thompson." "Where is Amara?" Silence. "Bernard, where is my daughter?" "Miss Amara is—" "Studying, sir." Marcus checked his watch. 2:51 a.m. London time. 9:51 p.m. in Connecticut. "She's studying at 10 o'clock at night." "Mrs. Thompson believes in academic discipline." Put her on the phone. "I'm afraid Miss Amara cannot be disturbed during study hours, sir. Mrs. Thompson's orders." Something cold crawled up Marcus's spine. "Then put my wife on." "Mrs. Thompson is attending to household matters. Shall I take a message?" "Tell her I'm coming home. Tonight." Marcus hung up before Bernard could respond. Patricia stood frozen in the doorway. "Sir, what's happening? Cancel everything. Book the first flight to New York." "But the Harrington presentation—" "Patricia," Marcus's voice cut like a blade, "an elderly woman just wrote me a letter saying my daughter is being abused. I don't care if I lose every penny. Book the flight, now." Patricia nodded and disappeared. Marcus walked to his desk, to the silver frame that had sat in the same spot for 4 years. Denise smiled back at him, her arms wrapped around a 3-year-old Amara, both of them laughing, happy, alive. He could still hear Denise's voice in that hospital room, her hand in his paper thin and trembling. "Promise me, Marcus." "Anything." "Promise me you'll always look into her eyes. Children can't hide what they feel. Their eyes tell the truth." "I promise." "And Marcus—" Denise had gripped his hand with her last strength. "Promise me you'll protect her. You know what this world does to black girls. She needs you. She needs you to see her. Promise me." "I promise, Denise. I swear on my life." Denise had smiled, then closed her eyes, and never opened them again. Marcus set the photograph down. He had broken every promise he ever made. His phone buzzed, a text from Vanessa. Darling, I heard you might be coming home early. Don't worry about that letter from the old woman. She's quite senile, imagines things. Amara is perfectly fine. She misses you. Kiss, kiss. Marcus stared at the message. How did Vanessa know about the letter he hadn't told anyone except Patricia? Hadn't mentioned it in any call or message. The letter had arrived minutes ago, yet Vanessa already knew, already had an explanation prepared, already was trying to smooth things over before he arrived. Marcus's blood turned to ice. He made 3 calls before leaving London. The first was to his pilot. Wheels up in 45 minutes. Flight plan to Teterboro. The second was to Raymond Cross, his personal attorney for 15 years. Raymond, I need you to freeze any pending financial transactions until I get back. Raymond's voice was strange, hesitant. Marcus, actually, I need to discuss something with you. Those transfer papers. What transfer papers? The Falcon Trust authorizations. I need your signature confirmation by Friday. I never authorized anything called Falcon Trust. Silence. Raymond, what the hell is Falcon Trust? We should discuss this in person, Marcus, when you're back in the States. We'll discuss it right now. I have another call coming in. I'll ring you tomorrow. The line went dead. Marcus stared at his phone. Raymond had hung up on him. In 15 years, Raymond had never hung up on him. The third call was to Walter Hughes. Walter answered on the second ring. His voice was gravel and steel, 64 years old, former FBI, the best private investigator Marcus had ever known. Marcus Thompson, it's been 3 years. I need your help, Walter, tonight. What's wrong? Someone's been hurting my daughter, and I think they're stealing my company. I need to know everything, fast. Tell me what you know. Marcus told him about the letter, about Bernard's evasive answers, about Vanessa's text message, about Raymond's strange behavior. Walter listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, Walter spoke in a low, careful voice. How long have you been married to this woman? 18 months. And how long have you been in London? 3 months. Who introduced you to her? Marcus paused. The answer rose in his mind like a dark tide. Derek Hamilton, my business partner. Your co-founder, the man you've known for 20 years. Yes. Walter was silent for a moment. Then, I'm on the first flight to New York. Don't confront anyone else. Don't let them know you're coming. And Marcus, don't trust anyone at that house. Not the staff. Not your wife. Not anyone who's been near your daughter while you were gone. What are you thinking, Walter? I'm thinking this is bigger than you realize. I'm thinking someone's been planning this for a long time. And I'm thinking your daughter isn't the only thing they're trying to take from you. Marcus ended the call. The flight from London to New York took 7 hours. Marcus didn't sleep for a single minute. He sat in the darkened cabin scrolling through his phone. 3 months of photographs Vanessa had sent him. Amara studying. Amara eating dinner. Amara smiling next to a birthday cake. But now Marcus looked with different eyes. The smile never reached Amara's face. Her gaze was always down. Always away. Avoiding the camera like she was afraid of what it might capture. And in every photograph, Vanessa stood directly behind her. Hand on Amara's shoulder. Perfectly positioned. Like a warden. Not a mother. Marcus zoomed in on Amara's birthday photo. The one he had missed because of a conference in Singapore. The one Vanessa swore was absolutely perfect, darling, she loved every minute. Amara's beautiful natural hair, the coils and curls Denise had always celebrated, always called her crown, was gone. Straightened. Chemically processed. Flattened into something unnatural. Marcus's stomach turned. Denise would have wept. His phone buzzed. Another text from Vanessa. Just checking in, darling. What time does your flight land? I want to have everything perfect for your homecoming. Marcus didn't respond. He landed at Teterboro at 6:15 p.m. A rental car was waiting. He didn't want anyone at the estate knowing he was coming. The drive to Greenwich took 45 minutes. Rain began falling halfway there. By the time Marcus reached Greystone Lane, the storm was vicious water, sheeting down his windshield, wind howling through the trees. He pulled up to the iron gate and entered his security code. Access denied. He tried again. Access denied. They had changed the code. To his own house. Marcus got out of the car. Rain soaked through his coat in seconds. He walked to the gate, gripped the iron bars, and pushed. The lock groaned. Marcus pushed harder. Years of anger. Years of grief. Years of guilt. All of it channeled into his arms. The lock snapped. The gate swung open. Marcus ran through the courtyard, past the fountain, past the garden, and stopped. Amara, His little girl. She was kneeling on the cobblestone, wearing nothing but a thin white nightgown that clung to her skeletal frame. Her dark skin was gray with cold. Her hair, that beautiful hair Denise had loved, hung limp and straight, plastered against her hollow cheeks. In her small hands, she clutched a worn teddy bear, the last gift Denise ever gave her. Standing over Amara was Vanessa. Red dress, perfect hair, wine glass in hand. "I don't know why this is so difficult for you to understand," Vanessa was saying. "When you break something, you apologize. You don't stand there looking stupid. You act like a civilized human being, which clearly your mother never bothered to teach you before she—" "Vanessa!" Marcus's voice cracked across the courtyard like a gunshot. Vanessa spun around. The wine glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the stones. "Marcus, darling, you're home early." She recovered fast, forcing a smile. "I was just—" Marcus was already running. He fell to his knees beside Amara, gathered her into his arms, wrapped his soaked coat around her trembling body. She was so cold. He could feel her ribs through the nightgown, every bone, every ridge, pressing against his chest like an accusation. Amara looked up at him. Her mother's eyes, deep brown, beautiful, were red and swollen, but what Marcus saw in them was worse than tears. He saw disbelief, as if she couldn't believe he was real, as if she had given up hoping. "Daddy," her voice was barely a whisper. You came back." Marcus pressed her closer. "I'm here, baby, I'm here." "She said you weren't coming back. She said you left because you didn't want me anymore." "That's not true? None of that is true." "She said I reminded you of Mommy, and that's why you couldn't look at me." Marcus's heart shattered. "I love you, Amara. I love you more than anything. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I left you." Amara's small fingers gripped his shirt so tight her knuckles turned white. "I knew you'd come," she whispered. "I knew it." Behind them, Vanessa's voice turned sharp. "Marcus, you're making a scene. The neighbors can see. Let's go inside and discuss this like adults." Marcus stood, lifting Amara in his arms. He walked toward the house without looking at Vanessa. She grabbed his sleeve. "Marcus, wait. You don't understand. She's been impossible while you were gone. Crying constantly, refusing to eat properly, talking back. I've been trying to help her to teach her discipline to take your hand off me." "Excuse me?" Marcus turned. His face was something Vanessa had never seen before, something dangerous. "If you ever touch my daughter again, I will destroy you. I will take everything you have. I will make sure the whole world knows exactly what you are, and I will do it with a smile on my face." Vanessa's hand dropped. "You're overreacting. She was only outside for a few minutes." "How long?" "I told you." "How long?" The shout echoed across the courtyard. Bernard appeared in the doorway. One of the maids dropped something inside the house. Vanessa's mask slipped. Just for a second. Just long enough for Marcus to see the cold calculation beneath. An hour, maybe 2. She needed to learn consequences. She's 7 years old. Age is irrelevant. Discipline is discipline. Marcus carried Amara inside, past the servants who scattered at his approach, past the chandeliers and paintings that now seemed obscene. He took her to the guest room on the 2nd floor, away from the master bedroom, away from everything that had hurt her. Clara, the elderly nurse who had worked for the family since before Denise died, rushed from the kitchen. Her face went white when she saw Amara. "Dear God, Mr. Thompson, the child?" "Check her. Everything. Now." Clara took Amara's hand. Her experienced fingers felt for pulse, checked temperature. Her eyes found the marks on Amara's skin. Purple bruises circled her wrists, faded marks on her arms, a barely healed cut on her elbow. "These restraint marks are weeks old," Clara said, her voice shaking. "Sir, this has been happening for a long time." "How long?" "Months, at least." "And you didn't tell me." Clara's face crumpled. Tears spilled down her weathered cheeks. "I tried Mr. Thompson. I called the London office 3 times. But Mrs. Thompson found out. She said if any of us contacted you again, we'd be dismissed without references. She said she'd make sure we never worked again. I have grandchildren, sir. I'm 72 years old. I can't afford to—" "Clara," Marcus's voice softened. "I understand. I'm not angry at you. I should have done more. I should have—" "You're here now. That's what matters. Take care of Amara. Keep her warm. I'll send for food." Marcus turned toward the door. "What are you going to do, sir?" "Find out the truth." He walked down the hallway toward his study. The door was slightly open. That was wrong. He always locked his study when he traveled. Marcus pushed the door open and stopped. The room was chaos. Drawers hung open, files scattered across the floor, Papers spread across his desk, papers that should have been locked in the safe. Marcus went to the safe and entered his combination. The door swung open. Inside were stacks of legal documents he had never seen before. Power of attorney forms, asset transfer authorizations, signature pages bearing his name. But the signatures weren't his. Close. Almost perfect. But Marcus had signed his name 1,000,000 times. He knew every curve, every angle, every unconscious flourish of his own hand. These signatures were too neat, too careful, too deliberate. Someone was forging his signature. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Check Falcon Trust, check Raymond Cross, check Derek Hamilton. They've been stealing from you for months. Vanessa is the key. You have until Friday. After that, you lose everything. Marcus stared at the message. Derek Hamilton, his best friend since Stanford, his co-founder, the godfather at Amara's christening, the man who had stood beside him at Denise's funeral crying as hard as Marcus himself, the man who had introduced him to Vanessa. Marcus's hands began to shake. He pulled out his phone and called Raymond Cross. Marcus, I was just about to call you back. Listen about those transfer papers. What is Falcon Trust, Raymond? It's an investment vehicle, standard financial structure, nothing to worry about. Then why does it have my forged signature authorizing $47 million in transfers? Dead silence. Raymond, I'm going to ask you one time, what is going on? Marcus, you need to understand I was put in a very difficult position. The gambling debts, they were going to destroy me. Derek offered to help and I didn't have a choice. I didn't know it would go this far. I didn't know about the girl. What do you mean you didn't know about the girl? I didn't know what Vanessa was doing to Amara. I swear to God, Marcus, that wasn't part of the plan. What plan? Raymond's voice dropped to a whisper. I can't talk about this on the phone. They're watching me. They're watching everyone. But Marcus, you need to understand something. Derek isn't who you think he is. He's been planning this for 2 years. Since before you even met Vanessa, she was his idea. All of it was his idea. Are you telling me Derek planted Vanessa in my life? I'm telling you Derek orchestrated everything. The introduction at the gala, the courtship, the marriage. Vanessa's job was to keep you distracted while they moved your assets into shell companies. By Friday, if nothing changes, Derek will have controlling interest in Thompson Technologies. And you'll have nothing. Marcus felt the floor tilt beneath him. Why, Raymond? Why would Derek do this to me? Because he hates you, Marcus. He's hated you for years. You just never saw it. You were always the face of the company, the genius, the one on magazine covers. Derek built that company right beside you, and nobody ever remembered his name. He got tired of being invisible. So he decided to steal everything. He decided to take what he felt he was owed, and he didn't care who got hurt in the process, including your daughter. Marcus's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles went white. Where is Derek now? I don't know, but Marcus, be careful. If Derek finds out you're onto him, he'll accelerate the timeline. Or worse. What do you mean worse? Raymond's voice cracked. There's a contingency plan. If things go wrong, if you try to stop them. Vanessa mentioned it once, something about accidents happening to children. I didn't think she was serious, but now, after what you told me about Amara, I'm not sure anymore. Marcus's blood froze. They threatened my daughter's life. I don't know, maybe. Marcus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I was just trying to pay off my debts. I didn't know what could... Raymond. Yes. You're going to help me take them down. You're going to give me every document, every email, every piece of evidence you have. And in exchange, I might let you walk away without spending the rest of your life in prison. I'll do whatever you want. Just please don't let them hurt that little girl. Marcus hung up. He stood alone in his ransacked study, surrounded by evidence of betrayal. His best friend, his lawyer, his wife, everyone he had trusted, everyone he had let into his life. All of them had been lying to him. All of them had been hurting his daughter. He walked to the window and looked out at the rain. Somewhere in this house, Amara was sleeping. Safe for now, but not safe enough. His phone buzzed again. Another anonymous text. There's more. Check behind the filing cabinet. You'll find what she stole from your daughter. Marcus crossed the room. Wedged behind the old oak filing cabinet covered in dust, he found a box. Inside was a teddy bear, brand new, still wrapped in cellophane, purple ribbon around its neck, and a card in handwriting he would recognize anywhere. Happy 7th birthday, my little queen. I will always love you even when I'm gone. Wear your crown high. Love forever, Mommy. The date on the card was 8 months ago, Amara's 7th birthday. Denise had bought this bear before she died, had wrapped it carefully, had written a note to reach beyond death with one final embrace for their daughter, and Vanessa had found it and thrown it away, had stolen a dying mother's last gift to her child and hidden it behind a cabinet like garbage. Marcus clutched the bear against his chest. Tears streamed down his face, the first tears since Denise's funeral. He wasn't just angry anymore. He was something beyond anger, something cold and patient and absolutely without mercy. He picked up his phone and called Walter Hughes. "I'm on my way," Walter said. "Be there by morning." "Change of plans. I need you here now." "What happened?" "They forged my signature on financial documents. They've been transferring my assets to shell companies. My lawyer is involved. My business partner is the mastermind. And my wife..." Marcus's voice broke. "My wife stole my dead wife's birthday gift to my daughter and threw it away." Jesus Christ. "I want them destroyed, Walter. I want them to lose everything, the way they tried to make me lose everything. But most of all, I want my daughter safe, whatever it takes, whatever it costs. I'm changing my flight. I'll be there in 6 hours. And Walter, yeah, they mentioned a contingency plan, something about accidents happening to children if things go wrong." Walter's voice went hard as stone. "Then we need to move faster than they expect, and we need to make sure they never see it coming." Marcus ended the call. He looked at the teddy bear in his hands, at the card in Denise's handwriting, at the love that had survived death only to be desecrated by a woman who had never loved anyone but herself. Tomorrow he would give Amara her mother's final gift. Tonight he had work to do. He left the study and walked down the hallway toward the master bedroom. The door was open. Vanessa sat at her vanity brushing her hair, humming softly. She saw him in the mirror and smiled. "Darling, I knew you'd calm down. You were just tired from the flight. Jet lag makes everyone emotional. Why don't you come to bed and we can talk about this in the morning? I'll explain everything. You'll see that I was only trying to help Amara become..." "Get out." Vanessa's brush stopped mid-stroke. "Excuse me? I want you out of this house by morning. You can take your clothes and your jewelry. Nothing else. If you're not gone by sunrise, I'll call the police." "On what grounds?" "Child abuse, child endangerment. And I'm willing to bet my lawyers will find plenty more once they start digging into your finances." Vanessa's smile hardened. "You can't do this. We're married. I have rights." "You have nothing. This house is in my name. The accounts are in my name. And the prenup you signed says that in cases of abuse or neglect, you forfeit everything." Marcus stepped closer. "Did you really think I wouldn't protect my daughter? Did you really think I was that stupid?" For a long moment, Vanessa said nothing. Then something shifted in her eyes. The mask fell away completely. "You want the truth, Marcus Fine. Here's the truth." She stood facing him directly. "Your daughter is broken. She was broken before I ever met her, crying for her mother every night, refusing to eat, refusing to listen. I tried to fix her. I tried to make her into something presentable, something you could actually be proud of, but she wouldn't cooperate. She's 7 years old. She's defiant, willful, just like her mother was. Denise always thought she was better than everyone else, didn't she? Always so proud of her heritage, her culture, her hair." Vanessa spat the word like a curse. Well, look where that pride got her. Dead in a hospital bed while her husband worked in another country and her daughter cried alone. Marcus's hands curled into fists. "You don't get to talk about Denise." "Why not? Because she's a saint now that she's dead." Vanessa laughed, a cold, ugly sound. "Your precious Denise wasn't perfect, Marcus. She was weak. She couldn't handle being married to a man who was never home. She couldn't handle raising a daughter by herself. And when she got sick, she gave up. She just gave up." "That's a lie." "Is it? I've read her journals. The ones she kept hidden in that trunk in the attic. She wrote about how lonely she was, how abandoned she felt, how sometimes she wished she had never married you at all." Marcus's world tilted. "What did you say? The journals, Marcus. Didn't you know about them? Pages and pages of your wife's deepest thoughts. Her fears, her regrets, her disappointment in the man she married." Vanessa smiled, showing teeth. "I found them 3 months ago. Very illuminating reading." "Where are they?" "Somewhere you'll never find them. Consider it leverage. In case you decide to be difficult about our divorce settlement." Marcus took a step toward her, then another, until he was close enough to see the fear flickering behind her cruel smile. "You're going to give me those journals." "Or what?" "Or I'm going to make your life very unpleasant, starting with a phone call to your first husband's family, The ones who accused you of abusing their elderly mother before she conveniently died. Vanessa's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you do. I think there's a lot you haven't told me about your past, about your real name, about the men who came before me. Marcus leaned closer. I know what you are, Vanessa. I know what you've done. And by the time I'm finished, the whole world will know too. The fear was real now. He could see it in her eyes. You're bluffing. Try me. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Two predators circling. Then Vanessa smiled again, but it was a different smile now. Desperate. Cornered. You think you've won, don't you? You think you can just sweep in and save the day like some kind of hero? She shook her head slowly. You have no idea what you're dealing with, Marcus. This is so much bigger than me. So much bigger than you. By Friday, you'll have nothing left. No company, no money, no reputation, and maybe if you're very unlucky, no daughter either. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Derek has been planning this for 2 years. Every detail, every contingency, every possible outcome. You can't stop what's already in motion. Watch me. Vanessa walked past him toward the door. At the threshold, she paused and looked back. I'll be gone by morning, but before I go, I want you to know something. When I'm done with you, when we're all done with you, that little girl of yours is going to wish she'd never been born, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. She disappeared down the hallway. Marcus stood alone in the master bedroom, his body shaking with fury. Then he pulled out his phone and called Clara. Is Amara still sleeping? Yes, sir, peacefully. Good. I want you to lock her door from the inside and stay with her until morning. Don't open it for anyone. Not Vanessa, not the servants, not anyone except me. Sir, what's happening? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. He hung up and walked to the attic stairs. The trunk was exactly where Vanessa had described it. Old leather covered in dust. Inside were Denise's journals, 12 of them, spanning the years of their marriage. Marcus opened the first one. The handwriting was achingly familiar. Loops and curves he had seen on birthday cards and love notes and grocery lists. The handwriting of the woman he had loved more than anything in the world. He began to read, and what he found changed everything. March 15th. Marcus is in Tokyo again. Amara asked when Daddy is coming home. I didn't know what to tell her. Sometimes I wonder if she even remembers what he looks like. June 8th. We had a fight on the phone tonight. He said I don't understand the pressure he's under. Maybe I don't. But he doesn't understand what it's like to raise our daughter alone, to be both parents when I only signed up to be one. September 22nd. The doctor said the treatment is working, but I'm so tired. I don't tell Marcus how bad the pain really is. He has enough to worry about. But sometimes I wish he was here, just to hold my hand, just to tell me it's going to be okay. December 3rd. I think about death a lot now, not afraid of it, just wondering what happens after. Will I see my grandmother again? Will I watch Amara grow up from somewhere beyond? Will Marcus ever forgive himself for not being here? I hope so. I hope he knows I never blamed him. I just missed him. Every single day, I just missed him. Marcus closed the journal. Tears streamed down his face. Denise hadn't been bitter, hadn't been angry. She had just been lonely, just been scared, just been a woman fighting cancer while her husband built an empire on the other side of the world. And he had never known. He had never asked. He had been so busy chasing success that he had missed his wife's final months. Had missed the chance to hold her hand through the pain, had missed everything that mattered. And now Vanessa wanted to use that loneliness as a weapon against him. Marcus wiped his eyes. Not anymore. Never again. He gathered the journals and carried them back to his study. Evidence. All of it was evidence of Vanessa's cruelty, of his own failures. Of the truth that had been hidden from him for too long. At 3 a.m. his phone rang. Walter Hughes. I just landed at Teterboro. I'll be there in an hour, but first you need to hear something. What is it? I ran background checks on the flight. Your wife, your lawyer, your business partner. What I found is worse than I expected. Tell me. Vanessa Delacroix, that's her real name, has been married 3 times, not twice. Her first husband died of a heart attack 6 months after they divorced. Her second husband's mother died under mysterious circumstances shortly after accusing Vanessa of psychological abuse. And her third husband, a real estate developer in Miami, is currently in a psychiatric facility after what his family describes as a complete mental breakdown. She destroyed him. She destroys everyone she touches. It's a pattern, Marcus. She finds wealthy men who are vulnerable. She marries them. And then she takes everything, their money, their sanity, their will to live. And Derek sent her to me. Derek did more than that. He funded her. For the past 18 months, Vanessa has been receiving payments from a company called Vertex Capital, the same company that owns Falcon Trust, the same company that's been draining your assets. Derek has been paying Vanessa. Every month, like clockwork. $50,000 deposited into an account under her maiden name. And here's the thing, the payment started 3 months before you met her, before the charity gala, before Derek introduced you. They were planning this before I even knew she existed. They were planning this for years, and I'm willing to bet it didn't start with you. Derek Hamilton's financial records show unexplained income going back 5 years. Income that doesn't match any of his legitimate businesses. What are you saying? I'm saying Derek might have done this before, to other people, other companies, other families. Walter's voice went cold. I'm saying your daughter might not be the first child who's been hurt by these people, and if we don't stop them, she won't be the last. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then, how long until you're here? 45 minutes. Good, because we have work to do. He hung up and walked to the window. Outside, the rain was finally slowing. The first gray light of dawn crept over the horizon. Somewhere in the house, his daughter was sleeping safe for now, guarded by an old woman who had tried to protect her when no one else would. Marcus thought about Denise, about the journals, about the promise he had made and broken and was now determined to keep. He thought about Derek Hamilton, his best friend, his partner, the man who had smiled at his wedding and cried at his wife's funeral while secretly planning to destroy him. He thought about Vanessa and the children she had hurt and the lives she had ruined and the cold calculation behind her beautiful eyes. And he thought about Amara, his little girl, his whole world. She was 7 years old. She had lost her mother. She had been tortured by a woman who was supposed to love her. She had been abandoned by a father who was supposed to protect her. But she had survived. She had waited. She had believed he would come. And now he was here. I'm going to fix this, Marcus said to the empty room. I'm going to fix everything. He didn't know yet how deep the conspiracy went. Didn't know all the players. Didn't know what other horrors were waiting to be discovered. But he knew one thing for certain. By the time he was finished, everyone who had hurt his daughter would pay. Every single one of them. Whatever it took. Whatever it cost. He would burn their world to the ground and build something new from the ashes. For Denise. For Amara. For the promise he had made and broken, and was now going to keep even if it destroyed him in the process. The sun rose over Greenwich, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. The storm had passed. The rain had stopped. And in a mansion that had become a prison, a father prepared for war. Walter Hughes arrived at the Greystone estate at exactly 6:47 a.m. Marcus met him at the front door. Neither man spoke. Walter simply nodded once, his sharp eyes scanning the foyer, the staircase, the servants who lingered in doorways, pretending not to watch. "Where is Sheepham?" Walter asked. "Upstairs, guest room. Clara's with her." "And the wife?" "Packing. I gave her until sunrise." Walter checked his watch. "That's 9 minutes from now." "I know." They walked to the study. Marcus had spent the past 3 hours organizing the evidence, forged documents, financial records, Denise's journals, the teddy bear still wrapped in cellophane. Walter picked up the bear and read the card. His jaw tightened. "She hid this from your daughter." "For 8 months." Walter set the bear down carefully. "Tell me everything, from the beginning. Don't leave anything out." Marcus talked for 20 minutes straight. The letter from Mrs. Carter, Bernard's evasive answers, Vanessa's strange text message, Raymond's confession on the phone, the anonymous text warning him about Falcon Trust, Denise's journals hidden in the attic, Vanessa's threats about the contingency plan. Walter listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, the old investigator was quiet for a long moment. "You said Derek introduced you to Vanessa 18 months ago, at a charity gala in Manhattan. And before that, how long had you known Derek?" 22 years. We met at Stanford, built the company together from nothing." "Did he ever show signs of resentment, jealousy?" Marcus shook his head. "Never. He was my best friend, my brother. He stood beside me at both my weddings. He cried when Denise died." People can hide a lot behind tears. Walter pulled out his laptop and opened several files. "I ran deep background checks on the flight. What I found is disturbing." "You mentioned some of it on the phone." "I mentioned the surface. The reality is worse." Walter turned the screen toward Marcus. 5 years ago, a tech company called Meridian Systems collapsed overnight. The CEO, a man named Robert Chen, lost everything. His company, his savings, his family. He died by suicide 6 months later. I remember that case. It was all over the news. What wasn't in the news was the investigation that followed. Someone had been systematically draining Meridian's assets through shell companies and forged authorizations. The SEC couldn't prove anything, the trail was too well hidden, but the pattern matches exactly what's happening to you. Marcus felt cold. You think Derek was involved? I think Derek was the architect, and I think Robert Chen wasn't his first victim or his last. How many others? Walter pulled up another file. At least 3 that I can identify. All tech companies. All CEOs who were distracted by personal crises, divorces, illnesses, family emergencies. All of them lost everything within 18 months of the problem starting. Vanessa. Different women, same pattern. Beautiful, charming, targeted specifically at vulnerable men. They create chaos at home while the financial theft happens in the background. Marcus's hands curled into fists. He's been doing this for years, destroying companies, destroying families, and nobody stopped him. Nobody knew. That's the genius of it. Each case looked like a personal failure, bad investments, poor judgment, tragic circumstances. Nobody connected the dots. Until now. Until now. Walter closed the laptop. But here's the problem. We have suspicions. We have patterns. What we don't have is proof. The forged signatures will help, but Derek will claim he had no knowledge of the fraud. He'll throw Raymond and Vanessa under the bus and walk away clean. Then we need to get him on record. Exactly, which means we need to set a trap. The sound of footsteps interrupted them. Both men turned as Vanessa appeared in the doorway, dressed in traveling clothes, 2 Louis Vuitton suitcases behind her. I'm leaving, her voice was ice. But don't think this is over, Marcus. I'll be in touch through my lawyers. You don't have lawyers. Everything you have belongs to me. We'll see about that. Vanessa's eyes shifted to Walter. Who's this another one of your rescue squad? Walter stepped forward. Walter Hughes, private investigator. I specialize in fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy cases. We're going to become very well acquainted over the next few weeks. Something flickered in Vanessa's eyes. Fear quickly hidden behind contempt. Good luck proving anything. I was just a devoted wife trying to help my troubled stepdaughter. Your troubled stepdaughter has bruises on her wrists from being restrained, Walter said calmly. She has marks on her body consistent with weeks of physical abuse, and I have 3 witnesses, the housekeeper, the nurse, and the elderly neighbor, who are prepared to testify about what they saw. Vanessa's composure cracked. Those people are liars. They're just trying to save it for the courtroom. Marcus stepped toward her. Get out of my house, now. Vanessa grabbed her suitcases. At the door, she turned back one final time. You should ask Derek about the insurance policy. What insurance policy? The one he took out on Amara 6 months ago, $2 million payable on death. Vanessa smiled, cold, cruel, triumphant. Accidents happen to children, Marcus, especially children nobody's watching. She walked out the door and disappeared into the morning light. Marcus stood frozen. She's lying, Walter said. She has to be lying. Derek wouldn't find out. Marcus's voice was barely controlled. Find out right now if there's an insurance policy on my daughter. Walter was already on his phone. He spoke quietly for several minutes while Marcus paced the study, his heart pounding, his mind racing through every horrible possibility. Finally, Walter lowered the phone. His face had gone gray. She wasn't lying. Marcus stopped pacing. 6 months ago, a policy was purchased through a subsidiary of Cross Holdings. $2 million payable on Amara's death. The beneficiary is listed as the Thompson Family Trust, but the trust document was amended last year. Derek Hamilton is now the sole executor. He can't do that. I never authorized. You did, or rather your forged signature did. The amendment document is dated from your Singapore trip, same time frame as the Falcon Trust authorizations. Marcus felt like the floor had disappeared beneath him. His best friend had taken out a life insurance policy on his daughter. His best friend was planning to kill his child. I want him arrested, Marcus said. Right now, today. We don't have enough evidence for an arrest. Insurance fraud is notoriously hard to prove, and Derek will claim he was just being financially prudent, protecting the family's assets in case of tragedy. He's planning to murder my daughter. We know that. The police don't. Not yet. Walter grabbed Marcus's shoulders. Listen to me. I understand your rage. Any father would feel the same. But if we move too fast, if we tip him off, Derek will disappear. He has the resources to vanish new identity offshore accounts. Countries without extradition, and if he runs, you'll never get justice. He'll be out there somewhere waiting, planning his next move. So what do we do? We build an airtight case, we gather evidence he can't deny, and then we destroy him so completely that he'll never hurt anyone again. Marcus closed his eyes. Every instinct screamed at him to find Derek right now to wrap his hands around the man's throat to make him pay for what he'd done. But Walter was right. Rage wouldn't protect Amara. Only patience would. Only strategy. Only absolute methodical destruction. "Okay," Marcus said. "Tell me the plan." At 8:15 a.m., Marcus went upstairs to check on Amara. Clara met him at the door. "She's awake. She's been asking for you. How is she?" "Frightened. Confused. But better than last night." Marcus entered the room. Amara sat on the bed, her worn teddy bear in her arms. When she saw her father, her face transformed. "Daddy." He crossed the room and gathered her into his arm. She clung to him, her small fingers gripping his shirt. "I thought I dreamed it," she whispered. "I thought you weren't really here." "I'm here, baby. I'm real." "Is Vanessa gone?" "Yes, she's never coming back." Amara pulled back and looked at him with her mother's eyes. "She said bad things, Daddy. About Mommy, about me. She said my hair was ugly. She said my skin was dirty. She said, nothing she said was true." Marcus cupped her face in his hands. "Listen to me, Amara. Your hair is beautiful. It's exactly like your mother's. And your mother's hair was her crown. Your skin is beautiful. It's the color of your grandmother and your great-grandmother and all the amazing women who came before you." Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. "But Vanessa said, Vanessa is a liar. She's a cruel, terrible person who hurt you because she's broken inside. None of it was your fault. None of it was ever your fault. She made me change my hair. She said it was messy and wrong. Would you like to change it back?" Amara's eyes widened. "Can I? We'll find someone who knows how to take care of natural hair. Someone who will make you feel beautiful, because you are beautiful, Amara. Exactly the way God made you." Amara threw her arms around his neck again. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, baby, more than anything in this world." They held each other for a long moment. Then Marcus remembered the gift. "I found something," he said. "Something your mother left for you." He pulled out the cellophane-wrapped teddy bear and handed it to her. Amara stared at it. Her hands trembled as she read the card. "From Mommy." "She bought it before she went to heaven. She wanted you to have it for your 7th birthday." "But I never got it." "Vanessa hid it. She didn't want you to have it." Amara's face crumpled. She clutched the new bear against her chest alongside her old one, 2 pieces of her mother's love finally reunited. "Mommy remembered me," she whispered. "She didn't forget. She never forgot you. She loved you until her very last breath, and she loves you still." At 9:30 a.m., Marcus received a call from an unknown number. He answered it. "Marcus Thompson." The voice was female, young, nervous. "Who is this?" "My name is Sophie Bennett. I'm Derek Hamilton's personal assistant. I need to talk to you. It's urgent." Marcus looked at Walter, who was already tracing the call. About what Derek is planning. About Falcon Trust. About everything." Sophie's voice dropped to a whisper. "I've been helping him for 3 years. I didn't know what he was really doing, not at first. But I know now, and I can't be part of it anymore. Why should I trust you?" "Because I have evidence. Documents Derek doesn't know I copied. Recordings of conversations he thought were private. Enough to put him away for the rest of his life." Marcus's heart raced. "Where are you?" "I can't say on the phone. Derek has people everywhere. If he finds out I'm talking to you..." "Then meet me. Somewhere public. Somewhere safe." Sophie was quiet for a moment. "There's a coffee shop on Greenwich Avenue, the Blue Door Cafe. I can be there at noon." "I'll be there." "Mr. Thompson, please be careful. Derek isn't just a thief. He's dangerous. The things he's done, the people he's hurt, you have no idea how far he'll go to protect himself." The line went dead. Walter looked up from his laptop. The call came from a burner phone, purchased in cash 2 days ago at a convenience store in Stamford. "Is she legitimate?" "I don't know yet, but if she has what she claims to have, this could be exactly what we need. Or it could be a trap." "That too." Walter stood. "Which is why you're not going alone." At 11:45 a.m., Marcus arrived at the Blue Door Cafe. He chose a table near the window with clear sight lines to both exits. Walter was already in position across the street, watching through a telephoto lens. 2 of Walter's associates were stationed at nearby tables posing as customers. At 11:58, a young woman entered the cafe. She was in her late 20s with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and the harried look of someone who hadn't slept in days. She carried a worn messenger bag clutched against her chest like a shield. Her eyes found Marcus immediately. She walked toward him, sliding into the seat across from his. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for calling." Marcus studied her face. "You said you have evidence." "I do." Sophie opened her bag and pulled out a folder, thick with documents. 3 years of financial records, emails between Derek and Raymond Cross, recordings of meetings where they discussed the Falcon Trust scheme in detail. "Why are you giving this to me?" Sophie's hands trembled. "Because I can't live with it anymore. When I started working for Derek, I thought he was a genius, a visionary. He was so charming, so confident. He made me feel like I was part of something important. What changed? 6 months ago, I overheard a phone call. Derek was talking to Vanessa, your wife. They were laughing about something, about a little girl who cried for her mother every night, about how easy it was to break a child's spirit." Sophie's voice cracked. "They were laughing, Mr. Thompson, about your daughter, about hurting your daughter." Marcus's jaw tightened. "What else did you hear?" "They talked about the insurance policy, about how accidents happen to children, about how nobody would suspect anything if a grieving little girl just stopped being alive." Sophie wiped tears from her cheeks. "I have a niece. She's 6 years old. When I heard them talking about Amara like she was nothing, like she was just an obstacle to be removed, I knew I had to do something." "Why didn't you go to the police?" "Because Derek has connections everywhere. Judges, politicians, police officers on his payroll. I've seen the payment records. If I went to the authorities, he'd know within hours. And then..." Sophie stopped, her face pale. "And then what?" "The last person who tried to expose Derek was a journalist named Michael Torres. He was investigating the Meridian System's collapse. He found the connection to Derek, and 3 weeks later, he was dead. Car accident, single vehicle, no witnesses." Sophie's voice dropped to a whisper. "The police ruled it an accident, but I saw the emails, Mr. Thompson. Derek arranged it. He killed that man as easily as ordering lunch." Marcus absorbed this information. "If Derek is as dangerous as you say, why are you risking your life to help me?" "Because of Amara." Sophie met his eyes. "I don't know your daughter. I've never met her, but I've seen her photograph on Derek's desk. He keeps it there like a trophy, like she's already gone. And I can't let him hurt a child. Not when I have the power to stop it." She pushed the folder across the table. "Everything is in there. Bank records, shell company structures, forged signatures, recordings. Everything you need to destroy Derek Hamilton." Marcus took the folder. "What about you if Derek finds out? I have a plane ticket to Vancouver. I leave tonight. I have family there. Derek doesn't know about them." Sophie stood. "Please protect your daughter, Mr. Thompson. She's innocent. She doesn't deserve any of this." "Neither do you." Sophie managed a small smile. "Maybe not, but I made my choices. I stayed with Derek for 3 years because the money was good and the work was exciting. I ignored the warning signs. I told myself it wasn't my problem." She shook her head. "It was always my problem. I was just too weak to admit it." She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. "Mr. Thompson? One more thing. Derek is planning something for Friday, the final transfer. He's having a private celebration at his penthouse. All the major players will be there, Raymond, some of the shell company managers, a few people I don't recognize. If you want to catch them all at once, that's your opportunity." "How do you know about this?" "Because I'm supposed to arrange the catering." Sophie's smile turned bitter. "Even now, even when I'm betraying him, I'm still doing his errands. Old habits die hard." She walked out of the cafe and disappeared into the crowd. Marcus opened the folder and began reading. What he found was worse than anything he had imagined. At 2:15 p.m., Marcus and Walter spread Sophie's documents across the study table. "This is comprehensive," Walter said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "Financial transfers going back 5 years. Emails discussing the scheme in explicit detail. Recordings of Derek admitting to fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. And murder." "And murder." Walter held up a printed email. "This one is from Derek to Raymond Cross, dated 2 years ago. The Torres situation has been resolved. No further complications expected." That was 3 weeks before Michael Torres died in his car accident. Can we prove Derek killed him? With this email and the financial records showing payment to a known fixer, yes, we can prove it. Marcus felt a grim satisfaction. What about the insurance policy on Amara? That's here too. Walter pulled out another document. The policy application signed with your forged signature, Derek's amendment to the Thompson Family Trust, and a draft of what appears to be a contingency plan. A contingency plan for what? Walter hesitated. You need to prepare yourself for this. Just tell me. Walter handed him the document. Marcus read it. The words blurred as rage consumed him. The plan was detailed, clinical, written like a business proposal. Step 1. Wait until Marcus was back in London. Step 2. Have Vanessa report that Amara had become increasingly unstable since her mother's death. Step 3. Create an accident at the estate, a fall down the stairs, a drowning in the pool, something that could be attributed to a troubled child's reckless behavior. Step 4. Collect the insurance money. Step 5. Use the tragedy to gain sympathy and consolidate control of the company while Marcus was too grief-stricken to fight back. Every step was mapped out, every contingency considered, every possible obstacle addressed. They had been planning to murder his daughter for 6 months, and they had put it all in writing. This ends Friday, Marcus said. Marcus, I don't care what it takes. I don't care what I have to do. This ends Friday. All of them. Derek, Raymond, everyone involved, they go down together. Walter nodded slowly. Then we need to move fast. Sophie said Derek's celebration is Friday night at his penthouse. That gives us 2 days to prepare. What do we need? First, we need to get this evidence to the FBI. I have contacts there, people Derek hasn't corrupted. They can prepare warrants and coordinate the arrest. What else? We need to record Derek confessing. The documents are damning, but a jury will want to hear him admit what he's done. We need him on tape. How? Walter smiled, a cold, dangerous expression. We give him exactly what he wants. We make him think he's won, and then we let him brag about it. At 4:30 p.m., Marcus made a phone call he never thought he would make. Derek answered on the second ring. Marcus, I heard you were back in town. How was London? The warmth in Derek's voice made Marcus's stomach turn. The easy charm, the false friendship, all of it a performance, all of it a lie. London was fine, but I'm dealing with some issues here. Issues? What kind of issues? Vanessa left. This morning. Apparently there were some problems with how she was handling Amara. Problems? Derek's voice dripped with concern. What do you mean? The neighbor sent me a letter. Said Vanessa was being too harsh with discipline. I came home early and found Amara outside in the rain. It wasn't good. Jesus, Marcus, I'm so sorry. I had no idea Vanessa was capable of something like that. She seemed so caring when I introduced you. Yeah, well, people aren't always what they seem. You're absolutely right about that. Derek paused. Listen, if there's anything I can do to help. Actually, there is. Marcus forced his voice to remain calm. I've been so focused on Amara that I haven't paid attention to the business. Patricia mentioned something about transfer papers that need my signature by Friday. Right. The Falcon Trust consolidation, just routine financial restructuring. Raymond has all the details. Raymond's not answering his phone. Really, that's strange. He's probably just busy with the paperwork. I'll have him call you. Actually, Derek, I was thinking maybe we should sit down together. You, me, Raymond. Go through everything in detail. I've been out of the loop for 3 months, and I want to make sure I understand what I'm signing. Another pause. Longer this time. Calculating. Of course, that makes total sense. How about dinner Friday night, my place? I'm having a few people over anyway. Some investors, some partners. We can go through the paperwork and then celebrate closing the deal. Sounds perfect. Great. I'll send you the details. And Marcus? Yeah. I'm really glad you're home. The company needs you, and I need my best friend. Derek's voice was warm and sincere. We've been through a lot together. We'll get through this too. Marcus closed his eyes. 22 years of friendship, 22 years of trust, all of it a lie. See you Friday, Derek. He hung up and looked at Walter. He took the bait. Good. Now we prepare. At 7:00 p.m., Marcus visited Mrs. Josephine Carter. The elderly woman lived in a modest colonial house just east of the Greystone estate. She answered the door slowly, leaning on a cane, her silver hair pinned neatly beneath a silk scarf. Mr. Thompson, her voice was warm but weary. I've been praying you would come. Mrs. Carter, may I come in? Of course, of course. She led him to a sitting room filled with photographs. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, a life fully lived. I received your letter, Marcus said. It saved my daughter's life. Mrs. Carter's eyes filled with tears. I should have written sooner. I should have done more. But but I was afraid. That woman Vanessa, she has a way of making people feel small, powerless. You weren't powerless. You found the courage to speak up when no one else would. Your wife, Denise." Mrs. Carter shook her head. "She was such a beautiful soul. I used to see her in the garden with Amara, teaching that little girl to love herself, teaching her about her ancestors, about her heritage. When Denise passed, I watched the light go out of that child's eyes. And when Vanessa came, what did you see? Everything changed. At first it seemed okay. Vanessa was always smiling, always charming. But then I started noticing things. Amara standing alone on the porch for hours, the sound of crying through the fence. And then, Mrs. Carter's voice broke. Then I saw her hair, that beautiful natural hair Denise loved so much. Vanessa made her change it, made her ashamed of it. Amara told me. I wanted to call you so many times, but I didn't know how to reach you, and I was afraid no one would believe an old woman over a wealthy socialite." Mrs. Carter reached for Marcus's hand. "I'm just glad you came home. I'm glad you saw the truth before it was too late." "It's not over yet, Mrs. Carter. The people who hurt Amara are still out there, but I'm going to stop them. All of them." "How can I help?" "I may need you to testify about what you saw, about what you heard." Mrs. Carter straightened in her chair. "I'll do whatever it takes. That little girl deserves justice. Denise deserves justice." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Thank you for everything." At 9:00 p.m., Marcus put Amara to bed. She insisted on keeping both teddy bears, the old worn one and the new one, from her mother. She held them against her chest, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. "Daddy, will you stay until I fall asleep? I'll stay as long as you need." "Promise." "Promise." Marcus sat in the chair beside her bed, holding her hand, watching her breathe. She looked so small, so fragile, so innocent, and people had tried to destroy her. People had planned to kill her, for money, for power, for greed. Marcus thought about Derek's penthouse, about Friday night, about the trap they were setting. In 48 hours, this would all be over. In 48 hours, everyone who had hurt his daughter would face justice. He just had to survive until then. Amara's breathing slowed. Her grip on his hand relaxed. She was asleep. Marcus kissed her forehead and whispered into the darkness, "I'm going to protect you, baby. No matter what it costs, no matter what I have to do, I'm going to keep you safe." He stood and walked to the door. In the hallway, Walter was waiting. "The FBI is on board. They'll have agents in position Friday night. Warrants are being prepared for Derek Raymond and 6 others identified in Sophie's documents. And Vanessa? Already under surveillance. She checked into a hotel in Manhattan. She's not going anywhere." "Good." "Marcus," Walter's voice was serious, "there's something else. Something Sophie's documents revealed." "What?" "The contingency plan, the one about Amara. It wasn't just a backup option. It was scheduled to happen this week. If you hadn't come home early, if you hadn't read Mrs. Carter's letter..." Walter stopped. Marcus understood. If he had waited even a few more days, Amara would be dead. "Friday," Marcus said. "We end this Friday." "Friday, sir." Marcus walked back to his study, where the evidence waited. Documents, recordings, photographs. Everything he needed to destroy the people who had betrayed him. Outside, the night was dark and silent. But somewhere in the city, Derek Hamilton was celebrating. Celebrating a victory he didn't know was already lost. Celebrating a scheme that was about to collapse around him. Celebrating the last free days of his life. Marcus picked up Denise's photograph. "I kept my promise," he whispered. "I protected her, and now I'm going to make them pay." The clock on the wall showed 9:47 p.m. 50 hours until Friday. 50 hours until justice. 50 hours until the end. Thursday, 6:15 a.m. Marcus hadn't slept. He sat at his desk surrounded by evidence, replaying every conversation he'd ever had with Derek Hamilton. 22 years of memories. 22 years of lies. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "They know Sophie talked to you. She never made her flight. Be careful." Marcus's blood went cold. He called Walter immediately. "Sophie Bennett is missing." "What?" "I just got a text. Anonymous. Says she never made her Vancouver flight." Walter was silent for 3 seconds. Then, "I'm checking airline manifests now." Marcus waited. His heart pounded against his ribs. "She's not on any flight out of the tri-state area," Walter said finally. "Her credit cards haven't been used since yesterday afternoon. Her phone is off." Derek got to her. We don't know that for certain. Who else would? Marcus, listen to me. If Derek knows Sophie betrayed him, he might suspect you're onto him too, which means Friday could be compromised. We can't cancel. If we back out now, Derek will disappear. He'll take everything and vanish. I know, but we need to be prepared for the possibility that this is no longer just a sting operation. It might be a trap. Then we walk into the trap, and we spring one of our own. Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Amara was eating breakfast when Marcus entered the kitchen. She looked up at him with her mother's eyes. Daddy, are you okay? You look tired. I'm fine, baby. Just didn't sleep well. Was it bad dreams I used to have? Bad dreams about Vanessa, about being left outside? Marcus sat down across from her. Do you still have them? Sometimes, but then I remember you came back, and the dreams go away. Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. I'm going to be away tomorrow night, just for a few hours. Clara will stay with you. Amara's face tightened. Where are you going? I have to take care of something important, something that will make sure no one ever hurts you again. Is it about Vanessa? It's about all of them, everyone who was involved. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that stopped Marcus's heart. Is it about Uncle Derek, too? Marcus stared at her. What do you know about Uncle Derek? He came to visit sometimes. When you were in London, he would talk to Vanessa in your study. They always closed the door. Did he ever talk to you once? Amara's voice dropped to a whisper. He said I should be a good girl. He said if I told anyone about the visit, something bad would happen to you. He said you might have an accident, like Mommy did. Marcus felt rage building in his chest like a wildfire. Mommy didn't have an accident, Amara. Mommy was sick. She had a disease. I know, but Uncle Derek said, Uncle Derek is a liar, just like Vanessa, and tomorrow night I'm going to make sure he can never lie to anyone ever again. Amara nodded slowly. Good. I don't like him. He smiles too much, and his eyes don't match his smile. Out of the mouths of children, Marcus thought. Out of the mouths of children. Thursday, 11:00 a.m. Walter arrived with new information. We found Sophie. Where? Hospital. She was in a car accident last night on the Merritt Parkway. Single vehicle. No witnesses. Marcus's stomach dropped. Is she alive? Barely. She's in a medically induced coma. Doctors say there's significant brain trauma. She might not wake up. Derek did this? Almost certainly, but here's the thing, Sophie was smart. Before she met with you, she uploaded copies of everything to a secure cloud server. I have the access codes. Even if she never wakes up, we have her evidence. Can we prove Derek caused the accident? Not yet, but the FBI is investigating, and if we get Derek on tape tomorrow admitting to the fraud, they'll have enough to pursue the attempted murder charge too. Marcus walked to the window. Outside, the November sky was gray and heavy. How many people has he killed? Killed Walter. How many lives has he destroyed? Based on Sophie's documents, at least 4 confirmed deaths connected to his schemes. Probably more we don't know about. And I called him my friend. I invited him to my wedding. I let him hold my daughter the day she was born. You didn't know? I should have seen it. Someone should have seen it. Evil hides Marcus. That's what evil does. It wears a pleasant face and speaks kind words and waits for the moment to strike. Then we strike first. Thursday, 3:30 p.m., Raymond Cross called. Marcus, thank God, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not on the phone. Can you meet me? There's a park near my office, the one on Greenwich Avenue. Why should I trust you, Raymond? You've been forging my signature for months. You've been stealing my money. I know what I did, but things have changed. Derek is planning something for tomorrow. Something beyond the financial transfers. Something dangerous. What kind of dangerous? Meet me and I'll tell you everything. Please, Marcus, I'm trying to make this right. Marcus looked at Walter, who was already tracing the call. 1 hour, the park. Come alone. Thank you, Marcus. The line went dead. Walter shook his head. It's a setup. Maybe. Or maybe Raymond is genuinely scared. Derek just tried to kill Sophie. Raymond might be worried he's next. Either way, you're not going alone. I never planned to. Thursday, 4:15 p.m. Marcus arrived at the park. Raymond was already there, sitting on a bench, looking like a man who hadn't slept in days. Walter was positioned 50 yards away, watching through binoculars. 2 of his associates covered the exits. Marcus sat down next to Raymond. Talk. Raymond's hands were shaking. Derek knows you're suspicious. I don't know how. Maybe he has someone watching the house. Maybe he intercepted a call, but he knows something is wrong. And he's changed the plan. The Friday transfer isn't just about money anymore. He wants to make sure you can't fight back. What does that mean? Raymond pulled a folded paper from his pocket. I found this in Derek's office this morning. I wasn't supposed to see it. Marcus took the paper and unfolded it. It was a draft press release. Tragic fire claims life of tech CEO's daughter. Marcus Thompson, CEO of Thompson Technologies, lost his 7-year-old daughter Amara in a devastating house fire Thursday night. The girl, who had been struggling with behavioral issues following her mother's death, was alone in the house when the fire started. Authorities suspect an electrical malfunction. Marcus's hands began to shake. This was supposed to happen tonight, Raymond said. While you were in London, while you were distracted by the Harrington deal, Vanessa was supposed to set the fire and get out before my daughter burned to death. Yes, Raymond's voice cracked. I didn't know, Marcus. I swear to God, I didn't know he was planning to kill her. I thought it was just about money. I thought we were just taking your company. I never would have... Shut up. Raymond fell silent. Marcus read the press release again, every word. Every carefully crafted lie. His daughter, his baby girl, murdered, burned alive, and it would have been called an accident. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm not a murderer. I'm a thief and a liar, and I've done terrible things, but I'm not a killer. When I saw that document, I knew I had to stop it. Why didn't you go to the police? Because Derek would find out. He has people everywhere. Cops, judges, even a few FBI agents. Raymond leaned closer. But you're different. You have resources he doesn't control. You have Walter Hughes. You have a chance to actually stop him. What about tomorrow? If Derek knows I'm suspicious, what happens at the penthouse? Raymond's face went gray. That's the other thing. Derek's changed the guest list. It's not just investors anymore. He's invited some people, dangerous people. Men who work for him. Men who solve problems. What kind of problems? The kind that disappear without a trace. Marcus stood. Thank you for the warning, Raymond, but this doesn't change anything. I'm still going tomorrow night. Marcus, you don't understand. If you walk into that penthouse, you might not walk out. Then I'll make sure Derek doesn't walk out either. Thursday, 7th, 0 p.m. Marcus called an emergency meeting. Walter, Clara, and Mrs. Carter gathered in the study. The documents were spread across the table. The evidence was overwhelming. Derek is expecting trouble, Marcus said. He's added security to tomorrow's event. Raymond says there will be dangerous men present. Then we need more FBI agents, Walter said. I'll call my contact. Do it. But there's something else. Marcus held up the draft press release. This was supposed to happen tonight. They were going to burn down the house with Amara inside. Clara gasped. Mrs. Carter's hand flew to her mouth. But it didn't happen, Marcus continued, because I came home early. Because Mrs. Carter wrote a letter. Because we disrupted their timeline. What does that mean for tomorrow, Walter asked. It means Derek is improvising. He's off script, and people who improvise make mistakes. Or they get desperate, Walter countered. Desperate people do desperate things. Then we need to be more desperate than he is. Marcus turned to Clara. Tomorrow night I want you to take Amara somewhere safe, not here, not anywhere Derek knows about. Where? Mrs. Carter's house. It's close enough that I can reach you quickly, but Derek has no reason to look there. Mrs. Carter nodded firmly. My doors will be locked. My grandson is a police officer. I'll have him come stay with us. Good. Marcus looked at each person in turn. This ends tomorrow, one way or another. Friday, 9:00 a.m., the day of reckoning. Marcus woke Amara gently. She blinked up at him, clutching her 2 teddy bears. Is it time? Almost. Clara is going to take you to Mrs. Carter's house. You'll stay there until I come get you. Will you be safe, Daddy? I'll be fine. Promise? Marcus hesitated. He had made so many promises, broken so many of them. I promise I will do everything I can to come back to you. Amara studied his face. That's not the same as promising you'll be safe. She was too smart, just like her mother. No, Marcus admitted. It's not, but it's the truth. Amara sat up and wrapped her arms around his neck. I love you, Daddy. Even if you don't come back, I'll always love you. Marcus held her tight. I love you too, baby. More than anything in this world. Friday at 11:30 a.m. Walter arrived with final preparations. FBI is in position, 8 agents plus local police backup. They'll be stationed around Derek's building, ready to move on my signal. What's the signal? Once we have Derek on tape admitting to the fraud, I'll send a text. The agents will secure the exits and move in. And if something goes wrong, then we improvise. Walter handed Marcus a small device. This is a micro recorder. It'll pick up everything within 20 feet. Keep it on you at all times. What about weapons? Walter shook his head. Too risky. If Derek's security finds a weapon, they'll know something's wrong. Besides, the FBI will be armed. Once they move in, it's over. And if they don't move in fast enough, then we rely on your charm and quick thinking, neither of which you've ever lacked. Marcus put the recorder in his pocket. 22 years I've known Derek. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals with him. I've celebrated victories and mourned losses. I know exactly how he thinks. Then use it. Get him talking. Get him bragging. Men like Derek can't resist showing off. It's their fatal flaw. Friday, 6:00 p.m. Clara took Amara to Mrs. Carter's house. Marcus watched them go from the front window. His daughter looked back once, waving with one hand while the other clutched her teddy bears. He waved back. Then he turned and walked to his study for the final briefing. Derek's penthouse is on the 42nd floor of the Morrison building, Walter said. One main elevator, one service entrance, one emergency stairwell, security cameras in all common areas. How many people? Based on Raymond's intel, approximately 20 guests, plus Derek's personal security team, 4 men, all former military, all armed. And our people, 8 FBI agents outside, 2 undercover operatives posing as catering staff inside, plus me. You're coming. I'll be monitoring from a vehicle across the street, close enough to respond if things go sideways. Marcus nodded. What time should I arrive? 8 o'clock. Derek likes to make an entrance, so he won't show up until at least 8:30. That gives you time to assess the room and identify the major players. And Raymond? He'll be there. He's agreed to cooperate fully. He knows that testifying against Derek is his only chance to avoid significant prison time. Marcus looked at the photograph of Denise on his desk. She would hate this, all the scheming, all the deception. She would understand. You're protecting your daughter. Am I? Or am I just seeking revenge? Does it matter? The result is the same. Derek Hamilton goes to prison. Amara stays safe. Justice is served. Marcus picked up the photograph. Denise smiled back at him, frozen in a moment of perfect happiness. Justice, he repeated. Let's hope that's what this is. Friday, 7:45 p.m. Marcus arrived at the Morrison building. The lobby was modern and sterile. A security guard checked his name against a list and directed him to the private elevator. 42nd floor, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Hamilton is expecting you. Marcus stepped into the elevator. The doors closed with a soft hiss. His heart pounded as the numbers climbed. 35, 36, 37. The micro recorder was warm against his chest, his lifeline, his only weapon. 40, 41, 42. The doors opened. Derek Hamilton stood waiting, arms spread wide, a smile stretching across his handsome face. Marcus, there you are. I was starting to think you'd changed your mind. Marcus stepped out of the elevator and accepted Derek's embrace. It took every ounce of self-control not to wrap his hands around the man's throat. Wouldn't miss it for the world. That's what I love about you, partner. Always reliable, always loyal. Derek clapped him on the shoulder. Come on, let me introduce you to some people. We've got a lot to celebrate tonight. The penthouse was crowded with well-dressed men and women. Waiters circulated with champagne. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. Marcus scanned the room. He recognized several faces. Board members, investors. Raymond Cross standing in a corner, looking like he wanted to disappear. But there were others he didn't recognize. Hard-faced men in expensive suits. Men who watched the room with professional attention. Men who stood with the balanced posture of trained fighters. Derek's security team. Beautiful night, isn't it? Derek handed Marcus a glass of champagne. Perfect weather for closing deals and counting money. Is that what we're celebrating, closed deals? Among other things. Derek's smile widened. You know, Marcus, I have to admit I was worried when you came home early. I thought maybe you'd figured things out. But here you are, ready to sign the papers and move on. The papers? The Falcon Trust consolidation. Raymond has everything ready. Just need your signature and we can finalize the transfer. Marcus took a sip of champagne. About that, I've been looking at the documents. Some of the numbers don't add up. Something flickered behind Derek's eyes. Really? What kind of discrepancies? Don't the large ones? Millions of dollars moving through shell companies. Signatures on documents I don't remember signing. Marcus. Derek's voice dropped. His smile stayed fixed, but his eyes went cold. Tonight isn't the night for accounting questions. Tonight is about trust, about partnership, about everything we've built together. You mean everything we're about to lose together? The room seemed to shift. Derek's security team moved slightly closer. Raymond turned pale and looked toward the exit. I don't know what you're talking about, Derek said carefully. I think you do. Marcus set down his champagne glass. I know about Sophie Bennett. I know about the forged signatures. I know about Falcon Trust and Vertex Capital. And I know about the insurance policy you took out on my daughter. Derek's mask cracked. For just a moment, something ugly and desperate showed through. Then he laughed. You've been busy, haven't you? I underestimated you, Marcus. I really did. Where's Sophie? Sophie had an accident. Very unfortunate. These things happen. You tried to kill her. I solved a problem. There's a difference. Marcus felt the rage building. He forced it down. He needed Derek to keep talking. He needed him to confess. Why Derek 22 years? We built this company together. We were brothers. Brothers? Derek's laugh was bitter. We were never brothers. You were the star and I was the supporting cast. Every interview, every magazine cover, every award ceremony, it was always Marcus Thompson, the genius, the visionary, the face of the company. That's what this is about, recognition. This is about what I deserve. I built Thompson Technologies right beside you. I worked just as hard. I sacrificed just as much. But nobody ever remembered my name. Derek's voice turned hard. So I decided to take what was owed to me. All of it. The company. The money. The legacy. Even if it meant killing a child, Derek shrugged. Collateral damage. Nothing personal. She's 7 years old. She's an obstacle, and obstacles get removed. Derek stepped closer, lowering his voice. You know what your problem is, Marcus. You're soft. You let emotions cloud your judgment. That's why you didn't see this coming. That's why you're going to lose. I'm not the one who's going to lose tonight. No, Derek smiled. Look around you. My security team. My guests. My building. You walked into this alone, Marcus, and you're not walking out. I'm not alone. The words hung in the air. Derek's smile faltered. What do you mean? The elevator doors opened. 8 FBI agents poured into the penthouse, weapons drawn. Federal agents, everybody on the ground now. Chaos erupted. Guests screamed. Glasses shattered. Derek's security team reached for their weapons, but found themselves immediately surrounded. Derek's face went white. What the hell is this? Walter Hughes stepped forward, holding up his phone. That was the signal. Every word you just said was recorded and transmitted directly to federal prosecutors. You set me up. You set yourself up. I just made sure someone was listening. Derek lunged at Marcus. His hands reached for Marcus's throat. Marcus was ready. He sidestepped, grabbed Derek's arm, and used his momentum to slam him face first into the floor. That's for my daughter, Marcus said, pressing his knee into Derek's back. That's for Sophie. That's for everyone you've hurt. FBI agents rushed forward, securing Derek's hands behind his back. Derek Hamilton, one of them announced, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy, attempted murder, and a whole lot of other charges we'll add later. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. They hauled Derek to his feet. His nose was bleeding. His expensive suit was rumpled. His careful composure was completely shattered. This isn't over, Derek snarled at Marcus. I have lawyers. I have connections. I'll be out by morning. No, you won't. Marcus stepped closer. Sophie Bennett uploaded everything to a secure server before you tried to kill her. Financial records, emails, recordings, the FBI has all of it. You're going to prison, Derek, for a very, very long time. Derek's face crumbled. For the first time since Marcus had known him, Derek Hamilton looked afraid. Marcus, please. We can work something out. I'll give you back everything, the money, the shares, all of it. Just call them off. You were going to burn my daughter alive. I was bluffing. I would never actually. Liar. Marcus's voice was ice. You've been lying for 22 years. I'm done listening to you. He turned and walked toward the elevator. Behind him, Derek's screams echoed through the penthouse. Marcus, Marcus, you can't do this to me. We're partners. We're brothers, Marcus. The elevator doors closed. Silence. Marcus leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. His hands were shaking. His heart was pounding. But it was over. Finally, mercifully over. Friday, 11:15 p.m. Marcus arrived at Mrs. Carter's house. Clara opened the door before he could knock. She's asleep, She was worried sick, but she finally dozed off about an hour ago. Is she okay? She will be, now that it's over. Marcus walked to the guest bedroom. Amara lay curled on the bed, both teddy bears clutched against her chest. He sat down beside her and stroked her hair. Her eyes fluttered open. Daddy. I'm here, baby. I'm home. Did you catch the bad guys? Every single one of them. Amara smiled. The first real smile he'd seen from her since coming home. I knew you would. Mommy told me in my dreams. She said you keep us safe. Marcus gathered her into his arms. Your mommy was right. She was always right. They held each other in the darkness. Outside, police sirens wailed in the distance. Inside, a father and daughter began to heal. Friday, 11:58 p.m. Walter called with an update. Derek's in federal custody. Raymond is cooperating fully. He'll likely get a reduced sentence in exchange for his testimony. Vanessa was arrested at her hotel an hour ago. She's already trying to cut a deal. What about Sophie? Still in a coma, but the doctors are cautiously optimistic. She might pull through. Good. She deserves to see Derek pay for what he did. There's one more thing. Walter's voice softened. The FBI found evidence of 3 other schemes Derek was running simultaneously. Other companies, other families, other victims. Your case is going to help bring justice to a lot of people, Marcus. Marcus looked at the photograph of Denise. That's what she would have wanted. How's Amara? Sleeping, peaceful. For the first time in months, I think she actually feels safe. She is safe. Because of you. Because of a lot of people. You, Clara, Mrs. Carter, even Sophie Bennett. It takes a village, Walter said. That's what my grandmother used to say. It takes a village to raise a child, and sometimes it takes a village to save one. Marcus ended the call and walked back to the guest bedroom. Amara was still sleeping. Her breathing was slow and steady. Her face was calm. He sat in the chair beside her bed and watched her breathe, the same way he had watched Denise breathe in those final days, counting each rise and fall of her chest, treasuring each moment she was still with him. But this was different. This wasn't an ending. This was a beginning, a new chapter, a second chance. Marcus closed his eyes and let the exhaustion finally claim him. When he opened them again, morning light was streaming through the window, and Amara was sitting up in bed watching him with her mother's eyes. Daddy, you stayed all night. I stayed all night. You kept your promise. I kept my promise. Amara smiled. Then she climbed out of bed and wrapped her arms around his neck. Can we go home now? Marcus held her close. Yes, baby, we can go home. Outside, the sun was rising over Greenwich. A new day was beginning, and somewhere in the distance, a church bell chimed the hour. Saturday, 7th Huzur a.m., the first day of the rest of their lives. Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Marcus drove Amara home in silence. She sat in the back seat, both teddy bears in her lap, watching the familiar streets pass by with a quiet intensity he hadn't seen before. Daddy? Yes, baby. Will Vanessa go to jail? Yes, for a long time. What about Uncle Derek? Him too, maybe forever. Amara nodded slowly. Good. They hurt people. People who hurt other people should be punished. Marcus glanced at her in the rearview mirror. 7 years old and already understanding justice better than most adults. How do you feel about that? He asked. I don't know. Amara hugged her bears tighter. I thought I would feel happy, but I just feel tired. That's okay. Feeling tired is normal after everything you've been through. Do you feel tired, Daddy? Very tired. But you're not going away again, right? You're staying here with me. Marcus pulled the car to the side of the road. He turned around to face his daughter directly. Amara, I am never leaving you again. Not for business, not for meetings, not for anything. Do you understand me? Amara's eyes filled with tears. Promise. I promise on Mommy's memory. I promise on everything I have. I will never leave you alone again. She unbuckled her seatbelt and climbed into the front seat, wrapping her arms around his neck. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby, more than you'll ever know. Saturday, 10:15 a.m. They arrived at the Greystone estate to find chaos. Police cars lined the driveway. Officers were carrying boxes of evidence from the house. Yellow crime scene tape stretched across the front entrance. Marcus stopped the car. Wait here, baby. He got out and approached the nearest officer. What's happening? This is my home. Mr. Thompson, the officer checked his clipboard. We have a warrant to search the premises. Evidence related to the Hamilton case. I wasn't notified. The warrant was issued this morning. Federal authority. We tried to reach you, but your phone was off. Marcus pulled out his phone. Dead battery. He'd been so focused on Amara that he hadn't charged it since Friday. How long will this take? Most of the day, sir. You might want to make other arrangements. Marcus looked back at the car. Amara was watching through the window, her face anxious. He pulled out his phone and called Clara. Can you meet us at the house? We need somewhere to stay while the police finish their search. My sister has a cottage in Westchester. You can stay there as long as you need. Thank you, Clara, for everything. That child is like my own granddaughter, Mr. Thompson. I would do anything for her. Saturday, 2nd Huzro p.m. Clara's sister's cottage was small but warm. Amara fell asleep on the couch within minutes of arriving exhausted from the emotional toll of the past few days. Marcus sat in the kitchen with Clara drinking coffee that tasted like home. How is she really? He asked. Tell me the truth. Clara set down her cup. She's traumatized, Mr. Thompson. Months of abuse don't heal overnight. She'll need therapy, professional help, time. I know. But she's strong, like her mother. Denise went through hard times, too, and she came out the other side. What kind of hard times? Clara hesitated. That's not my story to tell. I read her journals, Clara. I know about the loneliness. I know she felt abandoned. Then you know more than I do. Clara's eyes were sad. All I know is that Denise loved that little girl with everything she had, and she loved you too, even when you weren't there. Did she ever talk about leaving, about taking Amara and going somewhere else? Once, about a year before she got sick, she was having a hard day. She said she sometimes wondered if Amara would be better off without all the pressure of the Thompson name. Marcus felt a cold weight settle in his chest. What did you tell her? I told her that her daughter needed her father, that running away wouldn't solve anything, that she should talk to you about how she was feeling. Did she? I don't know. A few weeks later, she found out about the lupus. After that, everything changed. Marcus stared at his coffee. I failed her. I failed them both. You're human, Mr. Thompson. Humans make mistakes. What matters is what you do next. I'm going to do everything right. From now on. Everything. I believe you. Saturday, 6:00 p.m. Walter called with an update. The FBI finished searching your house. They found more evidence than they expected. What kind of evidence? Hidden cameras. In the study, the living room, the master bedroom. Derek was watching you for months. Marcus felt sick. He was spying on us. On everything, conversations, meetings, intimate moments. He knew exactly what was happening in your home at all times. That's how Vanessa knew to text me about the letter. She saw Mrs. Carter deliver it through the cameras. Exactly, but here's the thing, the camera footage goes back 18 months, to before you even married Vanessa. What? Derek had someone install the cameras while you were on your honeymoon. He's been planning this from the very beginning. Marcus closed his eyes. Is there anything else? One more thing. We found financial records showing payments to Bernard, your butler. $10,000 a month for the past year. Bernard was working for Derek. He was Derek's eyes and ears inside your house. That's why he was so evasive when you called from London. He was reporting everything to Derek in real time. Where is he now? We don't know. He disappeared Friday night. FBI is looking for him. Marcus hung up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the Connecticut hills. Every person he had trusted, every person he had let into his home, all of them had been working against him. Mr. Thompson, Clara appeared in the doorway. Amara is awake. She's asking for you. Marcus turned away from the window. Tell her I'll be right there. Saturday, 8:00 p.m. Amara sat up in bed, her eyes wide with fear. I had a bad dream. Marcus sat beside her. What happened in the dream? Vanessa was there. She was chasing me through the house. And you weren't there. I kept calling for you, but you didn't come. It was just a dream, baby. Vanessa is in jail. She can never hurt you again. But what if she gets out? What if she comes back? She won't, I promise. You promised before. Amara's voice cracked. You promised you'd always protect me, but then you left. Marcus felt the words like a knife in his heart. I know, I broke my promise. And I'm so sorry, Amara. I'm so sorry for everything. Why did you leave, really? Was it because of me? No, never because of you. Then why? Marcus took a deep breath. This was the hardest conversation he'd ever had. Harder than any business negotiation. Harder than watching Denise die. When your mommy died, I was so sad that I didn't know how to live anymore. Every time I looked at you, I saw her face. I heard her voice. I remembered everything we'd lost, and it hurt so much that I thought the only way to survive was to run away. To London. To work. To meetings. To anything that would keep me from feeling the pain. But I needed you, Daddy. I was sad too. I know, baby, I know, and I'm sorry. I was so focused on my own grief that I forgot you were grieving too. I forgot that you needed your daddy. Amara was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that broke Marcus completely. Sometimes I wished I was dead too, so I could be with Mommy, so I wouldn't be alone anymore. Marcus pulled her into his arms, tears streaming down his face. Don't ever say that, Amara. Please. You're the most important thing in my life. The only thing that matters. I can't lose you. I can't. I don't wish that anymore, Amara whispered. Not since you came back. I'm here now. I'm never leaving. Never. They held each other and cried together. Father and daughter. Two broken hearts, slowly learning to beat again. Sunday, 9th Huzro a.m. The next morning, Marcus made breakfast. It was the first time in years he'd cooked anything. Scrambled eggs, burnt toast, orange juice from a carton. Nothing fancy. Nothing perfect. But Amara ate every bite. Daddy, these eggs are terrible. I know. The toast is burned. I know that too. But I love it. Marcus smiled. The first real smile since Denise's funeral. I love you too, baby. After breakfast, Marcus made a phone call he'd been dreading. Patricia, it's Marcus. Mr. Thompson. Thank God, I've been trying to reach you since Friday. The board is in chaos, the stock is crashing, the Harrington deal is falling apart. Let it fall apart. What? I'm stepping down, Patricia, effective immediately. Silence on the line. Then, sir, you can't be serious. Thompson Technologies is your life's work. No, my daughter is my life's work. The company was just how I avoided dealing with what really mattered. But the shareholders. We'll have to find someone else to worship. I'm done. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. What should I tell the board? Tell them the truth. Tell them their CEO finally figured out what's important. Tell them I'll be available for the transition, but after that, I'm out. And the Harrington deal. Dead. I'm not signing anything. Not now. Not ever. Yes, sir. I'll handle it. Marcus hung up. He felt lighter than he had in years. Who was that? Amara asked from the doorway. Work, but it doesn't matter anymore. Why not? Because you matter more. Monday, 10th Huzro a.m. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for Monday morning. Marcus arrived at the federal courthouse with Walter by his side. The building was surrounded by media cameras, reporters, microphones thrust toward anyone who looked important. Mr. Thompson, can you comment on the allegations against Derek Hamilton? Mr. Thompson, is it true your wife was abusing your daughter? Mr. Thompson, what's your reaction to the scandal? Marcus ignored them all. He pushed through the crowd and entered the courthouse. Derek Hamilton was already inside, seated at the defense table with a team of expensive lawyers. He looked diminished somehow. Smaller. The arrogance that had defined him for decades was gone, replaced by something desperate and afraid. When Derek saw Marcus, his eyes narrowed. You destroyed everything, Derek hissed. Everything we built. Everything we worked for. No, Marcus said calmly. You destroyed everything. I just made sure you got caught. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Patricia Morrison, a stern-faced woman in her 60s, took her seat and began reviewing the charges. Mr. Hamilton, you are charged with 17 counts of fraud, 12 counts of forgery, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and child endangerment. How do you plead? Derek's lead attorney stood. Not guilty, Your Honor. My client maintains his innocence on all charges. Very well. Bail is denied. The defendant will remain in federal custody until trial. The judge turned to the prosecutor. What's the timeline? We expect to be ready for trial in 6 to 8 weeks, Your Honor. We have extensive documentation, true, and multiple witnesses prepared to testify. So noted. Trial date is set for January 15th. The judge banged her gavel. Court is adjourned. As the officers led Derek away, he turned back to Marcus one final time. This isn't over. My lawyers will tear your evidence apart. I'll be out in weeks. Your lawyers can't undo video recordings of you confessing to fraud and conspiracy, Marcus replied. You're finished, Derek. Accept it. Derek's face contorted with rage. I should have killed you when I had the chance. You and that brat of yours. The officers pulled him toward the exit. His screams echoed through the courthouse. I'll destroy you, Marcus. I'll destroy everything you love. This isn't over. This isn't over. The doors slammed shut behind him. Walter put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. He's rattled. That's good? Rattled defendants make mistakes. What kind of mistakes? The kind that add years to their sentence. Monday, Sekhadrapim. Vanessa's hearing was in the afternoon. She looked nothing like the polished socialite Marcus had married. Her hair was unwashed. Her face was pale and drawn. Her designer clothes had been replaced by prison orange, but her eyes were still cold, still calculating, still searching for an angle. When she saw Marcus, she smiled. Darling, how lovely to see you. Don't talk to me. Still angry. That's adorable. You know none of this would have happened if you'd been a better husband. If you'd paid attention to your family instead of chasing deals around the world. Marcus said nothing. The judge entered. The charges were read. Vanessa pleaded not guilty on all counts. But then the prosecutor dropped a bombshell. Your Honor, we have new evidence to present. Evidence that Mrs. Thompson was planning additional criminal acts beyond the charges already filed. Vanessa's lawyer jumped to his feet. Objection. We were not informed of any new evidence. The evidence was recovered this morning from a safe deposit box registered to the defendant. We're seeking to add 3 additional charges. The judge frowned. What charges? Conspiracy to commit arson, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation to commit murder of a minor child. The courtroom erupted. Reporters scrambled for their phones. Vanessa's lawyer demanded a recess. But Marcus just stared at Vanessa. Her smile had finally cracked. That's a lie, she said, her voice rising. I would never. We have documents in your own handwriting, the prosecutor interrupted. Detailed plans, timelines, instructions for staging an electrical fire that would kill a 7-year-old girl. Vanessa's face went white. Those were I was just thinking out loud. I never would have actually betted. You wrote down step-by-step instructions for murdering a child, Mrs. Thompson. That's not thinking out loud. That's premeditated conspiracy to commit murder. The judge banged her gavel. Order in the court. Vanessa turned to Marcus, her composure completely shattered. Please, Marcus, please. It was Derek's idea, all of it. He made me do it. He threatened me. I was afraid of him. You have to believe me. Marcus looked at the woman he had once trusted to love his daughter. You left my child kneeling in the rain while you drank wine and watched. You called her disgusting. You told her she was nothing. You planned to burn her alive in her own home. I was scared. Derek would have killed me if I didn't. You enjoyed it. I saw the videos. You were smiling. Vanessa had no response to that. I hope you rot in prison, Marcus said quietly, for the rest of your miserable life. He stood and walked out of the courtroom. Behind him, Vanessa's screams echoed off the walls. Marcus, please don't leave me. I'll do anything, Marcus. The doors closed behind him. Silence. Wednesday, 4th Fosropim. Dr. Evelyn Rhodes arrived at the cottage on Wednesday afternoon. She was a black woman in her early 50s with kind eyes and a calm presence that immediately put Amara at ease. She specialized in childhood trauma and racial identity development, exactly what Amara needed. Hello, Amara. My name is Dr. Rhodes. Your daddy asked me to come talk to you. Amara looked at Marcus. Is she a doctor like the hospital? She's a different kind of doctor. She helps kids who have been through hard things. She helps them feel better. Can she make the nightmares stop? Dr. Rhodes knelt down to Amara's level. I can't make promises about nightmares, but I can teach you ways to feel less scared. Would you like that? Amara nodded slowly. Okay. Good. Let's start with something easy. Can you tell me about your teddy bears? Amara brightened slightly. This one is from Mommy, from before she went to heaven, and this one is from Mommy, too. Daddy found it. Vanessa hid it, but Daddy found it. Your mommy must have loved you very much. She did. She always told me I was beautiful. She said my hair was my crown. She said my skin was like chocolate, and chocolate was the most delicious thing in the world. Your mommy sounds very wise. She was. Amara's face fell. But Vanessa said different things. She said my hair was ugly. She said my skin was dirty. She made me change my hair to look different. Dr. Rhodes nodded slowly. How did that make you feel? Bad. Like there was something wrong with me. Like I needed to be fixed. Do you still feel that way? Amara thought about it. Sometimes. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I hear Vanessa's voice. But then I hear Mommy's voice too. And Daddy says the same things Mommy said. Which voice is louder? I don't know. It changes. Dr. Rhodes sat down across from Amara. Can I tell you something important? Okay? Everything your mommy told you was true. Your hair is beautiful. Your skin is beautiful. You are beautiful exactly the way God made you. And everything Vanessa told you was a lie. She wanted to hurt you. She wanted to make you feel small. But her words don't have to be true. You get to decide which voice you believe. But how do I make her voice stop? That takes time and practice and talking about how you feel. That's why I'm here, to help you practice. Marcus watched from the doorway, tears in his eyes. This was the beginning of healing. This was hope. Thursday, 11:00 a.m. Marcus took Amara to a hair salon in Stamford. Miss Angela's Natural Beauty was a small shop run by a woman who had been styling natural black hair for over 30 years. Mrs. Carter had recommended her. Well. Miss Angela was a large woman with a warm smile and hands that had healed hundreds of little girls' self-esteem. Look at this beautiful child. What's your name, sweetheart? Amara. Amara? That's a beautiful name. It means eternal in some African languages. Did you know that? Amara shook her head. Your mommy chose well. Miss Angela guided Amara to a chair. Now let me look at this hair. Oh my, someone did a number on it, didn't they? Vanessa made me straighten it, Amara said quietly. I see that. Well, we're going to undo all that damage. We're going to bring back those beautiful curls. Would you like that? Yes, please. For the next 3 hours, Miss Angela worked her magic. She treated Amara's hair with oils and conditioners. She removed the chemical damage. She shaped and styled and twisted until Amara's natural curls bounced around her face like a crown. When she was finished, Miss Angela held up a mirror. What do you think, baby girl? Amara stared at her reflection, her eyes filled with tears. I look like Mommy. You look like you, Miss Angela said. Beautiful, natural, perfect. Marcus paid for the service and left a tip that was twice the price. It wasn't enough. Nothing would ever be enough to repay what Miss Angela had given his daughter. Thank you, he said. Miss Angela smiled. That child has a long road ahead of her, but she's got a good daddy. She's going to be just fine. Friday, February 0 p.m. Sophie Bennett woke up from her coma. Walter called with the news. She's conscious. Doctors say she's going to make a full recovery. Thank God. She's asking to see you. Marcus arrived at the hospital an hour later. Sophie was sitting up in bed, her head bandaged, her face bruised but alert. Mr. Thompson, you came. How could I not? You saved my daughter's life. Sophie shook her head. I almost didn't. I almost kept quiet. I almost let Derek win. But you didn't. That's what matters. I saw my niece last night. My sister brought her to visit. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. She's 6 years old, same age as your daughter. When I looked at her, I kept thinking, what if Derek had hurt her instead? What if I had stayed silent and something happened to a child I loved? You didn't stay silent. No, but it took me too long to speak up. 3 years I worked for that man. 3 years I watched him destroy people, and I said nothing. You're saying something now. That takes courage. Sophie was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised Marcus completely. I want to testify at the trial. I want to tell everyone exactly what Derek did, what Vanessa did, what Raymond did, all of it. That could be dangerous. Derek has people everywhere. I don't care anymore. I'm done being afraid. Sophie met his eyes. Your daughter deserves justice, Mr. Thompson, and so do all the other victims. If my testimony helps put Derek away forever, then everything I went through was worth it. Marcus took her hand. Thank you, Sophie, for everything. Thank you for not giving up, for coming home when your daughter needed you. I almost didn't. If it wasn't for Mrs. Carter's letter, I might still be in London, and Amara might be... He couldn't finish the sentence. But you did come home, Sophie said. That's the story that matters. Not the one that almost happened, the one that did. Saturday, 6:00 p.m., 1 week after Derek's arrest. Marcus sat on the porch of Clara's sister's cottage watching the sunset. Amara was inside playing with her teddy bears, talking to them in a soft voice he could barely hear. Dr. Rhodes had come every day. The sessions were helping. Slowly, painfully, but helping. Amara still had nightmares. She still flinched at loud noises. She still asked Marcus a dozen times a day if he was really staying. but the light was coming back to her eyes. The smile was coming back to her face. The crown was coming back to her head. "Mr. Thompson," Clara appeared in the doorway. "You have a phone call." Marcus took the phone. "Hello." "Mr. Thompson, this is Judge Morrison's office. The judge has ordered a hearing for Monday morning regarding temporary custody arrangements for Amara Thompson." "What? Why, I'm her father." "There's been a petition filed. A family member is challenging your custody rights." "What family member, Shul?" "Vanessa Thompson's mother. She's claiming that you're an unfit parent and that Amara should be placed in her care." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. "That's insane. Vanessa is in jail for abusing my daughter. Her mother can't just—" "I understand, sir, but the petition has been filed. You'll need to appear Monday morning to contest it." The line went dead. Marcus stared at the phone. Vanessa's mother. A woman he'd met exactly twice. A woman who had raised a monster. And now she wanted custody of Amara. "What is it?" Clara asked, seeing his expression. "It's not over," Marcus said. "It's not over yet." He walked inside and picked up Amara, holding her tight against his chest. "Daddy, what's wrong?" "Nothing, baby, nothing's wrong." But that was a lie. Everything was wrong, and Monday was coming fast. Sunday, 9:00 a.m., Marcus called an emergency meeting with Walter and his legal team. Vanessa's mother filed a custody petition. Can she actually take Amara? Walter shook his head. "Unlikely. You're the biological father with no criminal record. Vanessa is in jail awaiting trial for abusing the child. Any judge would dismiss this." "Then why file it?" "To harass you, to distract you from the trial, to create doubt about your fitness as a parent." Walter's eyes narrowed. "Or someone put her up to it." "Derek? He's in federal custody, but he still has resources. People who owe him. If he wanted to cause problems for you, this is exactly how he'd do it." Marcus's legal counsel, a woman named Diana Cho, spoke up. "We need to prepare a counter-petition, character witnesses, evidence of your relationship with Amara, documentation of the abuse Vanessa inflicted." "How long do we have?" "The hearing is tomorrow. We have less than 24 hours. Marcus stood up. "Then we don't sleep tonight. Make the calls. Get the witnesses. I want every piece of evidence we have ready by morning." "Yes, sir." "And Diana?" "Yes? I will not lose my daughter, not to Vanessa's mother, not to anyone, whatever it takes." "Understood." Monday, 9:00 a.m., the family court hearing. Marcus arrived with Diana Cho Walter and a folder of evidence thick enough to stop a bullet. Across the aisle sat Eleanor Hartwell, Vanessa's mother, a thin, severe woman in her 70s with the same cold eyes as her daughter. "All rise," the bailiff announced. "Family court is now in session. Judge Margaret Wheeler presiding." The judge took her seat. "I've reviewed the petition filed by Mrs. Eleanor Hartwell seeking emergency custody of minor child Amara Thompson. Mrs. Hartwell, you may present your case." Eleanor stood. "Your Honor, my daughter has made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But that doesn't mean this child should remain with a father who abandoned her for months at a time. Marcus Thompson is a workaholic who prioritizes his business over his family. He left his daughter in the care of my daughter, whom he chose to marry, and now he wants to blame everyone except himself." "Your Honor," Diana interrupted, "this is absurd. Mrs. Hartwell's daughter is facing charges for child abuse and conspiracy to commit murder. The child in question was the intended victim." "I'm aware of the charges," the judge said. "Mrs. Hartwell, can you explain why you believe you would be a suitable guardian for this child?" "I raised Vanessa. I know what went wrong with her upbringing. I can ensure those mistakes aren't repeated." Marcus couldn't contain himself. "You raised a woman who tortured my daughter and planned to burn her alive. What exactly would you do differently?" "Mr. Thompson, you'll have your turn," the judge warned. "With respect, Your Honor, this hearing is a waste of time. There is no legitimate basis for removing Amara from my custody. This petition was filed to harass me and distract from the criminal trial." "Those are serious allegations." "I have evidence that Derek Hamilton, currently in federal custody for conspiracy and fraud, has been communicating with Mrs. Hartwell through a prison telephone system. They spoke for 47 minutes 3 days ago." The courtroom went silent. Eleanor's face went white. "Is this true, Mrs. Hartwell?" the judge asked. Mr. Hamilton is a family friend. I simply called to—" "You called a federal prisoner accused of conspiring to murder your granddaughter," Diana said. "And 3 days later, you filed a petition to take that granddaughter away from her father. That's not a coincidence. That's coordination." The judge's expression hardened. "Mrs. Hartwell, I'm going to ask you one question, and I want you to think very carefully before you answer. Did Derek Hamilton ask you to file this petition? Eleanor's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I don't have to answer that. Actually, you do. Failure to answer will be considered contempt of court. Eleanor looked around the courtroom desperately. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. The judge nodded slowly. Very well. Mrs. Hartwell, your petition is denied. Additionally, I'm referring this matter to the federal prosecutor's office for investigation into possible conspiracy and obstruction of justice. You may be facing charges of your own. Eleanor's face contorted with rage. You can't do this. That child belongs with family, not with a man who... That child belongs with her father, the judge interrupted, who loves her, who protected her, who came home when she needed him most. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel banged. Marcus stood on shaking legs. It was over. Finally, truly over. Amara was his, and no one would ever take her away. Monday, chapter 12, 0 p.m. Marcus picked up Amara from Mrs. Carter's house. How did it go? Clara asked anxiously. We won. She's staying with me. Clara burst into tears. Thank God, thank God. Amara ran to Marcus and jumped into his arms. Daddy, you're back. I'm back, baby, and I'm never leaving. Mrs. Carter made cookies. Do you want one? I would love one. They walked into Mrs. Carter's kitchen together. The elderly woman sat at her table, a plate of chocolate chip cookies in front of her. Mr. Thompson, sit down. Eat. You look like you haven't slept in days. I haven't. Then eat and rest. That little girl needs her father healthy. Marcus sat down and bit into a cookie. It was the best thing he'd ever tasted. Thank you, Mrs. Carter, for everything. I told you before, that child is like my own. I would do anything for her. You saved her life. That letter you wrote, it changed everything. Mrs. Carter smiled. I just told the truth. The truth has a way of setting things right. Amara climbed into her lap. Mrs. Carter, can you teach me how to make cookies? Of course I can, child. We'll bake a whole batch, and we'll eat every single one. Marcus watched them together. An elderly neighbor, a traumatized child, two unlikely friends brought together by tragedy and kindness. This was family, not blood, not law, not obligation, just love. Simple, pure, unconditional love. Monday, 6:00 p.m. That evening, Marcus made another phone call, this time to his board of directors. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform you that I am resigning as CEO of Thompson Technologies effective immediately. Shock rippled through the conference call. Marcus, you can't... The company needs... What about the shareholders? The shareholders will be fine, Marcus interrupted. The company will be fine, but my daughter needs me more, and I'm choosing her. Who will lead the company? Patricia Wells. She's been running things while I was distracted with my personal life. She's more than qualified. But the Hamilton scandal will be resolved through the courts. My involvement is no longer necessary. Patricia has my complete confidence. The board argued for another 20 minutes. Marcus didn't budge. When the call finally ended, he felt like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. No more board meetings, no more acquisition deals, no more 14-hour days and transcontinental flights. Just Amara. Just life. Just love. Monday, 9:00 p.m. Marcus put Amara to bed in her real bedroom. The police had finished their search. The house was theirs again. Daddy. Yes, baby. What happens now? Marcus sat on the edge of her bed. Now we heal. Now we take care of each other. Now we build a new life together. What kind of life? Whatever kind we want. We can travel. We can learn new things. We can help other kids who have been through hard times. Like me. Like you. Would you like that? Amara thought about it. I think Mommy would like that. I think she would too. Daddy, can I tell you something? Anything. I used to pray every night that you would come home. I would hold my teddy bear and talk to Mommy and ask her to send you back to me. Marcus's heart ached. And did she? I think so. I think she heard me. I think she's still watching over us. I think so too, baby. Amara closed her eyes. Good night, Daddy. I love you. Good night, sweetheart. I love you too, forever and ever. No matter what. No matter what? Marcus kissed her forehead and turned off the light. In the darkness, he heard her whisper one last thing. Thank you for coming home. He stood in the doorway for a long moment watching his daughter sleep. Then he walked to his own bedroom, the bedroom he had once shared with Denise, then with Vanessa, and sat down on the edge of the bed. Everything was different now. Everything was new. Everything was possible. He picked up Denise's photograph from the nightstand. "I kept my promise," he whispered. "Finally, after everything, I kept my promise." The photograph smiled back at him, and somewhere in the darkness he could have sworn he heard Denise's voice. "I know, I always knew you would." January 15th, 8:00 a.m. The federal trial of Derek Hamilton began on a cold Tuesday morning. Marcus arrived at the courthouse with Amara's drawing in his pocket. She had made it the night before a picture of two stick figures holding hands standing in front of a yellow sun. At the bottom, in careful crayon letters, she had written, "Daddy and me, safe forever." He touched the paper now, feeling its edges drawing strength from his daughter's love. Walter met him at the entrance. "Ready?" "As I'll ever be." "Sophie Bennett is testifying today. She's nervous, but determined." And Raymond, already inside. He's been cooperating fully. The prosecution is offering him a reduced sentence in exchange for his testimony. How reduced? 5 years instead of 20. He'll be out before he's 60. Marcus nodded slowly. Raymond had done terrible things, but he had also helped stop something worse. Justice wasn't always simple. January 15th, 9:30 a.m. The courtroom was packed. Media filled every available seat. Cameras lined the back wall, broadcasting the trial to millions of viewers across the country. Derek Hamilton sat at the defense table wearing an expensive suit that couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. His legal team surrounded him, 4 of the best criminal defense attorneys money could buy. But all the lawyers in the world couldn't undo what Sophie Bennett was about to say. She took the witness stand at 9:47 a.m. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. "Please state your name for the record." "Sophie Marie Bennett?" "And what was your relationship to the defendant?" "I was his personal assistant for 3 years." "During that time, did you witness any illegal activities?" Sophie took a deep breath. "Yes, I witnessed fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. I witnessed Mr. Hamilton planning the theft of Thompson Technologies through shell companies and forged documents, and I witnessed him discussing the murder of a child." The courtroom erupted. Derek's lawyers jumped to their feet. The judge banged her gavel repeatedly. "Order, order in the court." When silence finally returned, the prosecutor continued. "Can you describe what you witnessed regarding the child?" Sophie's eyes found Marcus in the gallery. She nodded slightly, then turned back to the jury. "On September 14th of last year, I overheard a phone conversation between Mr. Hamilton and Vanessa Thompson. They were laughing about a little girl, Amara Thompson, Mr. Hamilton's goddaughter. They discussed how easy it was to break a child's spirit. They talked about an insurance policy, and they talked about how accidents happen to children." "Did they specify what kind of accident?" "Yes, they discussed staging an electrical fire that would appear to be an accident. The fire would kill Amara Thompson while her father was overseas. The death would be ruled accidental, and the insurance money would be collected." "Did you report this conversation to the authorities?" "No." Sophie's voice cracked. "I was afraid. Mr. Hamilton had already killed one person who tried to expose him, a journalist named Michael Torres. I knew if I spoke up, I would be next." "What changed your mind?" "Mr. Thompson came home early. He found out what was happening to his daughter, and when I saw him fighting to protect her, I realized I couldn't stay silent anymore. Some things are more important than being afraid." January 15th, 11:15 a.m. Raymond Cross took the stand next. He looked nothing like the confident lawyer Marcus had known for 15 years. His face was gaunt, his hands shook, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I did terrible things," Raymond said. "I forged Marcus Thompson's signature on documents that transferred millions of dollars to shell companies. I helped Derek Hamilton steal from a man who trusted me, and I knew that Vanessa was abusing that little girl, and I said nothing." "Why did you participate in this scheme?" "Gambling debts. I owed money to dangerous people. Derek offered to pay them off in exchange for my cooperation. I told myself it was just about money. I told myself no one would get hurt." Raymond's voice broke. "I was lying to myself. I knew what Vanessa was doing to Amara. I saw the bruises, I heard the crying, and I did nothing because I was a coward." "Why are you testifying now?" "Because a 7-year-old girl deserves justice. Because Marcus Thompson deserves to know the truth. And because I can't live with myself anymore if I stay silent." January 15th, 6:30 p.m. The prosecution presented the video evidence. The courtroom watched in horrified silence as footage played on the screens, Vanessa slapping Amara across the face, Derek and Raymond meeting in Marcus's study to forge signatures, Vanessa dragging Amara outside in the rain. Several jurors wiped tears from their eyes. One woman in the jury box had to leave the room when the footage showed Amara crying alone in the dark hallway, whispering to her dead mother for help. "Mommy, I miss you. Please come back. I'll be good. I promise. Just please make it stop." Marcus watched the footage with his hands clenched into fists. He had seen it before, but every time it felt like a knife in his heart. That was his daughter, his baby girl, crying alone in the darkness while he sat in an office 5,000 miles away. He had failed her so completely, and now finally the world would see what had been done to her. January 15th, p.m. Derek Hamilton's defense team attempted to discredit the witnesses. "Miss Bennett, isn't it true that you were in a romantic relationship with the defendant?" "No, that's a lie." "Isn't it true that you're testifying because you're bitter about being rejected?" "Absolutely not. I'm testifying because Derek Hamilton is a murderer and a thief." "Mr. Cross, you've admitted to forging documents and participating in fraud. Why should anyone believe anything you say?" "Because I have nothing left to gain. I'm going to prison either way. All I can do now is tell the truth." The defense attorneys tried every trick in the book. They challenged the authenticity of the videos. They questioned the chain of custody for the documents. They suggested that Marcus Thompson had fabricated evidence to frame his business partner. None of it worked. The evidence was overwhelming. The testimony was devastating, and Derek Hamilton's carefully constructed world was crumbling around him. January 16th, 10:00 a.m. The second day of the trial brought a surprise witness. The prosecution calls Bernard Williams to the stand. Marcus sat up straight. Bernard, the butler who had disappeared the night of Derek's arrest, the man who had been spying on his family for over a year. Bernard walked slowly to the witness stand. He was thinner than Marcus remembered, his face drawn with guilt and fear. "Mr. Williams, can you describe your relationship with the defendant?" "Derek Hamilton paid me $10,000 a month to monitor the Thompson household. I installed hidden cameras. I reported on Mr. Thompson's schedule, his phone calls, his meetings, everything." "Did you know what this information would be used for?" "Not at first. I thought it was just corporate espionage, but then Vanessa arrived, and I started to understand." "What did you understand?" Bernard's voice dropped. "That they were going to destroy that family, that they were going to hurt that little girl, and that I was helping them do it." "Why didn't you stop it?" "Because I was afraid. Derek told me what happened to people who betrayed him. The journalist, others. He said if I ever talked, I would disappear too." "What changed?" Bernard looked at Marcus for the first time since taking the stand. "The night Mr. Thompson came home, the night he found Amara in the rain, I saw him run to her. I saw him hold her. I saw the look on his face like his whole world was breaking. And I realized I couldn't be part of this anymore. I couldn't help destroy a father who loved his daughter that much. Where have you been since that night?" "Hiding, gathering my courage, and deciding to do the right thing even if it costs me everything." January 17th, 3:00 p.m. The prosecution rested its case. The defense called no witnesses. Derek Hamilton refused to testify on his own behalf. His lawyers argued that the evidence was circumstantial, that the witnesses were unreliable, that the prosecution had vouched and had failed to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But everyone in that courtroom knew the truth. Derek Hamilton was guilty, and the jury would prove it. January 18th, 11:30 a.m. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. When they returned to the courtroom, the foreman stood with a single sheet of paper in his hands. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "We have, Your Honor." "What say you?" "On the count of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of forgery, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of conspiracy to commit murder, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of attempted murder, we find the defendant guilty. On the count of child endangerment, we find the defendant guilty." Guilty, guilty, guilty. Marcus closed his eyes as the word echoed through the courtroom. 22 years of friendship, 22 years of trust, all of it ending with a single word: guilty. Derek Hamilton collapsed in his chair. His lawyers gathered around him speaking in urgent whispers, but there was nothing left to say. The judge scheduled sentencing for the following week. Derek was led away in handcuffs, his expensive suit wrinkled, his perfect hair disheveled, his arrogant smile gone forever. As he passed Marcus, he stopped. "You think you've won? You think this is over? It's over, Derek. It's never over. I'll appeal. I'll fight this. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison. That's what you'll do. Derek's face twisted with rage. I should have killed you when I had the chance. You and that brat of yours. But you didn't, and now you'll never get another chance. The guards pulled Derek away. His screams echoed through the corridor. This isn't over, Marcus. This isn't over. But it was. For Marcus, for Amara, for everyone Derek had hurt, it was finally completely over. January 25th, 9:00 a.m., Sentencing Day. Derek Hamilton stood before the judge, his hands cuffed, his face gray with despair. Mr. Hamilton, you have been found guilty on all counts. Before I pronounce sentence, do you have anything to say? Derek's lawyer whispered something to him. Derek shook his head. No, Your Honor, nothing. Very well. Derek Hamilton, I hereby sentence you to 45 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole for 30 years. Additionally, you are ordered to pay full restitution to all victims of your schemes, including Marcus Thompson and the families of Michael Torres and Robert Chen. 45 years. Derek would be 93 years old before he was eligible for release. He would die in prison. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell, and Derek Hamilton's reign of destruction finally came to an end. February 3rd, p.m. Vanessa's trial was shorter. She pleaded guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. 20 years instead of life. She would be 72 when she was released. Marcus attended the sentencing. He needed to see it. He needed closure. Vanessa stood before the judge in prison orange, her once beautiful face haggard and pale. Do you have anything to say, Mrs. Thompson? Vanessa looked at Marcus. Her eyes were still cold, still calculating, still searching for an angle. I loved him, she said. I loved Marcus Thompson. Everything I did for us. You abused his child, the judge replied. You plan to murder a 7-year-old girl. That's not love. That's evil. I was under Derek's control. He manipulated me. Save it for your therapist. The judge's voice was ice. You had choices, Mrs. Thompson. You could have walked away at any time. You could have protected that child instead of torturing her. You chose cruelty. Now you'll live with the consequences. 20 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole for 15 years. Court is adjourned. As they led Vanessa away, she passed within inches of Marcus. You'll regret this, she whispered. When you're alone at night, when that little girl asks where her stepmother is, you'll remember how much I loved you. You never loved anyone, Marcus replied. You don't know how. Vanessa's mask cracked. For just a moment, something human flickered behind her eyes. Something that might have been pain, or regret, or just the realization that she had lost. Then the guards pulled her away, and Marcus never saw her again. March 1st, 10:00 a.m. Spring arrived slowly that year. Marcus spent every day with Amara. They cooked breakfast together, they walked in the park, they read books and watched movies and talked about everything and nothing. Dr. Rhodes came 3 times a week. The sessions were helping. Amara still had nightmares, but they were less frequent now. She still flinched at loud noises, but she recovered faster, and she was starting to smile again, real smiles, smiles that reached her eyes. Daddy, she asked one morning over pancakes. What are we going to do now? What do you mean? Hon, you don't go to work anymore. You don't have meetings. You just stay here with me. Is that a problem? No, I love it. But what are we going to do forever? Marcus set down his fork. That's a good question. What would you like to do? Amara thought about it. She was always so serious when she thought about things. Just like Denise. I want to help other kids, she finally said. Kids who are hurt like me. Kids who are scared and alone. I want them to know that someone cares about them. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. That's beautiful, Amara. Mommy would want that. She always said we should help people who need it. Your mommy was very wise. I know. Amara looked up at him. Can we do that, Daddy? Can we help other kids? Yes, baby, we absolutely can. March 15th, 3:00 p.m. Marcus called a meeting with his financial advisors. I want to sell my remaining shares in Thompson Technologies, all of them. Sir, that's a significant amount of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. I know, and I want to use it to start a foundation, a place for children who have been through trauma, a safe haven where they can heal. The advisors exchanged glances. That's a noble goal, sir, but running a nonprofit is very different from running a corporation. I know. That's why I'm going to hire people who know what they're doing, but the vision is mine, and my daughter's. Your daughter. She wants to help kids who are hurt like she was. I'm going to make that happen. April 1st, 9:00 a.m. Mrs. Josephine Carter passed away on a quiet Tuesday morning. She went peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by photographs of the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren who loved her. Marcus was at her bedside when she took her last breath. "Thank you," he whispered, "for saving my daughter, for having the courage to write that letter. I will never forget what you did." Mrs. Carter's hand, small and fragile in his, squeezed once. Then she was gone. The funeral was 3 days later. Amara insisted on attending. "Mrs. Carter was my friend," she said. "She made me cookies. She told me stories. She saved my life." At the service, Amara stood before the congregation with her 2 teddy bears clutched against her chest. "Mrs. Carter was brave," she said, her small voice carrying through the church. "She saw something wrong, and she didn't stay quiet. She wrote a letter that brought my daddy home. She saved me." Amara paused, tears streaming down her face. "I'm going to be brave like her. I'm going to help other kids. I'm going to write letters and speak up and never stay quiet when something is wrong. That's what Mrs. Carter taught me. That's what I'll remember forever." The congregation wept, and somewhere Marcus was certain Mrs. Carter was smiling. May 1st, 10:00 a.m. The Greystone estate underwent a transformation. Construction crews arrived. Walls were torn down and rebuilt. New wings were added. The cold, sterile elegance that Vanessa had cultivated was replaced with warmth and color and light. Amara supervised every detail. "The walls should be yellow," she declared. "Yellow like sunshine, so kids feel happy when they walk in. Yellow it is. And there should be a garden with flowers that kids can plant themselves so they can watch things grow." "A garden, got it. And the bedroom should have big windows so kids can see the stars at night. Mommy used to say stars are people we love watching over us." Marcus pulled his daughter into his arms. "You're going to make this place amazing." "We're going to make it amazing," Amara corrected. "Together." June 15th, 2:00 p.m. Sophie Bennett was released from the hospital. She had spent 5 months recovering from her injuries. Physical therapy, cognitive rehabilitation, counseling for the trauma of nearly being murdered. Marcus met her at the hospital entrance. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, "for everything you did, for the evidence, for the testimony, for risking your life." Sophie shook her head. "I should have spoken up sooner. I should have—" "You spoke up when it mattered. That's what counts." "What happens now?" "Now you heal. And when you're ready, if you're interested, I'd like to offer you a job." "A job?" "I'm starting a foundation, a place for children who have been through trauma. I need people I can trust, people who understand what it means to do the right thing, even when it's hard." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "You want me to work with traumatized children?" "I want you to help them, the way you helped my daughter." Sophie was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I'd be honored." September 1st, 9:00 a.m. Little Sunhaven opened its doors. That was the name Amara chose. Little Sunhaven, because every kid deserves a sunny place where they feel safe. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was attended by dignitaries, donors, and dozens of community members who had heard about Marcus Thompson's transformation from corporate titan to child advocate. But Marcus didn't care about the dignitaries or the donors. He cared about the 12 children who walked through those doors on opening day. 12 kids from 12 different backgrounds. Some had been abused, some had been neglected, some had lost parents to violence or illness or addiction. All of them needed what Little Sunhaven offered: safety, love, hope. Amara greeted each child personally. "Hi, I'm Amara. Welcome to Little Sunhaven." "What's Little Sunhaven?" "It's a place where you're safe, where nobody hurts you, where you can be yourself and people love you anyway." "For real." "For real. I was hurt too, really badly, but I got better, and you will too." September 15th, 4:00 p.m. Dr. Evelyn Rhodes became the full-time director of therapeutic services at Little Sunhaven. She implemented programs for trauma recovery, identity development, and family healing. She brought in specialists from across the country. She trained staff in culturally responsive care, and she worked with Amara personally, continuing the healing journey they had started together. "You're doing remarkable, Amara, doctor," Rhodes said during one of their sessions. "Your nightmares are almost gone. Your anxiety is manageable. You're thriving." "I still get scared sometimes." "That's normal. Healing isn't about never being scared. It's about knowing you can handle the fear when it comes. Like when I met the new kids, I was nervous they wouldn't like me." "But you talked to them anyway." "Yeah, and they did like me, most of them." Dr. Rhodes smiled. That's courage, Amara. Doing the thing even when you're afraid. You have more courage than most adults I know. October 1st, 10:00 a.m. Miss Angela from the hair salon became a regular volunteer at Little Sun Haven. Every Saturday, she came to teach natural hair care to the children. She brought oils and conditioners and styling tools. She taught the girls and some of the boys how to love their crowns. Your hair is part of who you are, she told them. It connects you to your ancestors, to your heritage, to all the beautiful people who came before you. Never let anyone tell you it's ugly or wrong. It's perfect, just like you. Amara assisted with every class. I used to hate my hair, she told the children. Someone made me change it, made me straighten it, made me feel like there was something wrong with me. But there wasn't, there isn't, and there's nothing wrong with you either. November 15th, 3:00 p.m. The first anniversary of Marcus's return from London. He spent the day with Amara at Little Sun Haven, watching her interact with the other children, watching her laugh, watching her comfort a little boy who was crying for his mother. It's okay, Amara told the boy, wrapping her arms around him. I know it hurts. I cried for my mommy too, but the hurt gets smaller, I promise, and the people here love you. Even when it hurts, you're not alone. Marcus watched his daughter transform from victim to healer. This was her purpose. This was their purpose. To take the worst thing that had ever happened to them and turn it into something beautiful. December 25th, 7:00 a.m., Christmas morning. Amara woke Marcus at dawn, bouncing on his bed with barely contained excitement. Daddy, Daddy, it's Christmas, wake up. I'm awake, baby, I'm awake. They went downstairs together. The tree was lit with colored lights. Presents were stacked beneath it. The smell of Clara's cooking filled the house, but the best present was one that couldn't be wrapped. Sophie arrived at noon with a card. What's this? Marcus asked. Open it. Inside was a photograph. 12 children standing in front of Little Sun Haven grinning at the camera, and behind them, in careful letters on a banner, Thank you, Mr. Thompson, you saved us. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. They wanted you to know, Sophie said, what you built, what you gave them. It matters. It really matters. Amara took the photograph and studied each face. That's Jalen. His mom died from cancer like my mommy. And that's Destiny. Her stepdad hurt her like Vanessa hurt me. And that's Marcus Jr. He's named after you, Daddy. His family lost everything in a fire. You know all their stories. Of course, they're my family now. Marcus pulled his daughter into his arms. I am so proud of you, Amara. So incredibly proud. I learned from you, Daddy, and from Mommy, and from Mrs. Carter. Amara looked up at him on with her mother's eyes. We take care of each other. That's what family does. January 15th, 10:00 a.m. 1 year since the trial began. Marcus received a letter from federal prison. It was from Derek Hamilton. Marcus, I've had a year to think about what I did, to understand the magnitude of my crimes. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I'm sorry. For what I did to you. For what I did to Amara. For everything. I hope one day you can find peace. Derek. Marcus read the letter twice. Then he threw it away. Some apologies were too late. Some sins were too great. Derek Hamilton would die in prison. And Marcus Thompson would spend the rest of his life making sure no child ever suffered the way his daughter had. That was justice. That was closure. That was enough. March 1st, 3:00 p.m. Spring returned to Connecticut. Little Sun Haven had grown beyond anyone's expectations. 3 buildings now, 42 children in residence, a staff of 23 dedicated professionals. And at the center of it all, Amara Thompson, now 8 years old, her natural hair bouncing in beautiful coils, her smile bright enough to light up any room. She was giving a tour to a new family. This is the garden. The kids planted all these flowers themselves. And this is the art room. We make pictures of our feelings. And this is my favorite place, the library. It's quiet here. You can think. The new family's daughter, a small girl named Destiny, clutched her mother's hand. Is it safe here? Destiny whispered. Really safe. Amara knelt down to look her in the eyes. I know you're scared. I was scared too. Someone hurt me really badly, for a long time. But then my daddy came home. He saved me. And now I help save other kids. Does the scared feeling go away? Mostly. Sometimes it comes back. But you know what helps. What? Knowing you're not alone. Knowing someone cares. Knowing that no matter what happened before, you have a future. A good future. A happy future. Destiny's eyes filled with tears. I want a happy future. You'll have one. I promise. We all will. June 15th, 6:00 p.m. The summer solstice celebration at Little Sunhaven. Children ran across the lawn laughing and playing. Parents mingled with staff members. Music played from speakers set up near the garden. Marcus stood on the porch watching it all. Walter appeared beside him. You did good, Marcus, really good. We did good, all of us. Sophie tells me you're expanding again, a second campus in Hartford. There are too many kids who need help. One building isn't enough. Will there ever be enough? Marcus watched Amara dancing with the other children, her laughter carrying across the lawn. No, there will never be enough. But we do what we can. We save who we can, and we never stop trying. Walter clapped him on the shoulder. Denise would be proud. I hope so. She would. I'm certain of it. September 1st, 9:00 a.m. The second anniversary of Little Sunhaven's opening. Amara stood before a crowd of 200 people holding a bronze plaque in her hands. 2 years ago, this place didn't exist. 2 years ago, I was a scared little girl who thought no one loved her. 2 years ago, I believed what the bad people told me, that I was ugly, that I was worthless, that no one would ever come to save me. She paused, her eyes finding Marcus in the crowd. But my daddy came home. He found me. He saved me. And then we decided to save as many other kids as we could. Amara held up the plaque. This is for Mrs. Josephine Carter. She passed away last year, but she was the one who started it all. She wrote a letter, one letter, and that letter brought my daddy home. That letter saved my life. That letter is the reason Little Sunhaven exists. She walked to the garden wall and placed the plaque carefully in its mount. In memory of Josephine Carter, she wrote the letter. She saved the children. She showed us that courage can change the world. The crowd applauded, and somewhere above them, Marcus was certain Mrs. Carter and Denise were watching together, smiling. December 31st, 11:55 p.m. New Year's Eve. Marcus sat on the porch with Amara wrapped in blankets watching the stars. Daddy. Yes, baby. Do you think Mommy can see us from heaven? I think so. I think she's watching over us every single day. What do you think she would say about everything that happened, about Little Sunhaven, about me? Marcus pulled his daughter closer. I think she would say she's proud of you. I think she would say you're the bravest, kindest, most beautiful girl in the whole world. And I think she would say thank you for turning our pain into something good. Amara was quiet for a moment. I miss her? I miss her too, baby, every single day. But I'm not sad anymore, not really. Is that okay? That's more than okay. That's healing. That's growing. That's exactly what Mommy would want. In the distance, fireworks began to explode. Colors streaked across the sky. Happy New Year, Daddy. Happy New Year, sweetheart. They watched the fireworks together, father and daughter, their hearts full of love and hope and the unshakable knowledge that they had survived the worst thing imaginable and come out the other side. Not broken, not diminished, but stronger, kinder, better. January 1st, 12:01 a.m., the first moment of a new year. Marcus made one final phone call. It was to the empty air, to the stars above, to the woman he had loved and lost and would never stop loving. Happy New Year, Denise. I kept my promise. Our little girl is safe. She's happy, she's healing, and she's changing the world one child at a time. He paused, listening to the silence. I know I failed you. I know I wasn't there when you needed me, but I'm here now, for Amara, for the children, for everyone who needs someone to fight for them. The stars twinkled in response. I love you, Denise, forever and always. Thank you for giving me the greatest gift of my life. Thank you for Amara. He lowered the phone. Amara was watching him, her eyes soft with understanding. Were you talking to Mommy? Yeah, baby, I was. What did she say? Marcus smiled through his tears. She said she loves us, both of us, and she said we're doing exactly what she always hoped we would. Amara nodded as if this made perfect sense. I talk to her too, every night before I sleep. I tell her about my day, about the kids at Little Sunhaven, about all the things we're doing. What does she say back, Colt? Amara thought about it. She doesn't say words, not exactly, but I feel her, like warmth, like love, like someone is holding my hand even when I'm alone. Marcus gathered his daughter into his arms. That's her Amara. That's your mommy. She's always with you. She always will be. And you'll always be with me too, right, Daddy? Always, baby, forever and ever, no matter what. They sat together on the porch as the new year began, watching the stars wheel overhead, listening to the sounds of celebration in the distance. 2 years ago, they had been broken. 2 years ago, they had been afraid. 2 years ago, they had almost lost everything. But they had found each other again. They had healed. They had built something beautiful from the ashes of their pain. And now, as a new chapter began, they faced the future together. Father and daughter, hand in hand, hearts full of love that could never be destroyed. Because in the end, that was the truth of their story. Not the darkness that had threatened to consume them. Not the evil that had tried to tear them apart. But the love that had saved them. The courage that had transformed them. And the hope that had shown them the way home. Marcus Thompson had learned the hardest lesson of his life. Success meant nothing without family. Money meant nothing without love. Achievement meant nothing without presence. But he had also learned the most beautiful truth. It was never too late to change. It was never too late to heal. It was never too late to become the person you were always meant to be. He looked at his daughter, at her beautiful natural hair, her bright smile, her mother's eyes full of wisdom beyond her years. This was his legacy now, not buildings or bank accounts. Not mergers or acquisitions. Just this. Just love. Just family. Just the simple, profound truth that some things matter more than everything else. And on that January morning, as the sun rose over Connecticut and the first day of a new year stretched before them like an endless promise, Marcus Thompson finally understood what Denise had been trying to tell him all along. Home wasn't a place. It wasn't wealth or status or success. Home was a little girl with coily hair and her mother's eyes. Home was love that never gave up. Home was wherever family stood together. And Marcus Thompson was finally, completely, irrevocably home. And that is the story of Marcus and little Amara. From the darkness of betrayal to the light of redemption. From the depths of despair to the heights of hope. From a father who lost his way to a man who found his purpose. Which character touched your heart the most? Marcus, the father who learned that love matters more than success. Amara, the brave little girl who survived and became a healer. Mrs. Josephine Carter, the elderly neighbor who proved that one letter can change the world. Sophie Bennett, who risked everything to do what was right. And which moment moved you most deeply? When Marcus found Amara kneeling in the rain, when he discovered the birthday gift from her mother, when Amara gave the speech at Mrs. Carter's funeral, when father and daughter watched the stars on New Year's Eve. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Because stories like this remind us of something important. It is never too late to come home. It is never too late to heal. It is never too late to turn darkness into light. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for believing in the power of love to conquer all. And remember, always remember, every child deserves to be loved. Every person deserves a second chance. Every family deserves a happy ending. This is the end of our story. But for Marcus and Amara Thompson, it was only the beginning of healing, the beginning of hope, the beginning of forever.